let's kick it. So the game we're going to be playing today is a game called Trophy, and this is a game that I've been very, very excited about for a long time. I kickstarted it not too long ago. It's one of the best Kickstarter campaigns I've ever seen. It's based loosely on Blades in the Dark, which is where we stole our Devil's Bargain and our stress systems from, so that's pretty great. It's also very, very light touch. So the good news is this is all of our first time playing this system. We're going to be learning as we go, but also you're going to be learning as we go, which I think is pretty exciting. And the nice thing about this game is it's conversational based. And so as a result, we're going to be kind of figuring out parts of it together. The way this game works in a nutshell, and I explained this to our cast off screen, but for those of you listening and watching, the way it works basically is for any time you want to attempt a risky task, you roll a d6. And these are known as your light dice. So if you roll a light die anytime you're attempting to do something, and you can add one because it's of something either in your background or because of your occupation or some skill you think your character has. You can add another one for accepting a Devil's Bargain, and we'll see how that works once we get there. However, you also add a dark colored die that represents the risk that you're taking by undertaking this action. On a 1 to 3, you fail and things get worse. On a 4 or 5, you succeed, but there's a complication. And on a 6, you succeed as you see fit. However, if your dark die comes up higher than your light die, you risk ruin, which is the mechanic that will slowly drain all of you of your hope and survival. So before we begin, we have to make some characters. This game is the most light touch I think I've ever seen for character building, which is dope.
It's amazing.
So all of them have their sheets at home. I'm going to hold this one up to my camera. It'll probably be reversed, but I can fix that. So basically, my friends, you have a checklist. Have all of you had a chance to take a look at this and see if there are things you want, or should we talk it out loud?
I've taken a glance.
Yep.
Okay.
Here's the question, Tom. Should we chat to make sure we don't all make the same character, or should we just make 3 characters and see whose toes we may step on?
Oh, I think 3 characters and see whose toes we step on. We are dum-dums and dice, after all.
I like this a lot. All right.
In reverse? It is in reverse. That's fine. All right. So why don't we go? Do we want to go one at a time? Do we want to go piece by piece? What are you guys feeling?
Why don't we'll mark up our sheets and then each of us can walk you through the character we've built. Does that make sense?
That sounds great. Yep. And I'll give you some background for this. Basically, what we're selecting are a name, an occupation, a background, a ritual. You can have up to 3. However, you need to increase your ruin by 1 for each ritual that you know. You get 1 free ritual, I believe.
Okay.
You also have a drive, which is
we get a free ritual?
Cool. I believe so.
So if we want 3, we'll end up with a starting ruin of 3 then.
That is correct.
Cool.
We'll
start with 2.
So the other thing to keep in mind as you're building these characters is that all of you have something that you need. Unfortunately, the world has not provided for you the way you hoped it had, or you hoped it would, and you find yourselves now in desperate need of something. And as such, you've decided to seek out the throne of the Forest Queen. You each have your own reasons for doing that, but what you've heard tell in dank taverns, in back alleys, over perhaps 1 or 2 too many drinks here and there, over fine feasts, is of the gifts and the bounties of the Forest Queen. And as with any get-rich-quick scheme, this lived in your head as this is a bad idea, I probably shouldn't do this, not unlike trying to stream for the first time live with a bunch of your friends watching.
No, Tom, James is saying that he can't hear any audio.
All right. Can everybody else still hear audio?
This is on the Discord.
Hello, James. Hear you crunching away there.
Yes. Also, if you're in our Zoom, I would ask that you mute yourselves. That would be great. Cool.
That sounded tasty.
Okay, he figured it out.
There you go. James got it.
All right. Fantastic. Great.
For those of you listening later, James is a friend of the show who couldn't get the audio to work, but now he's here for an adventure for the throne.
And not just left. Oh, no, she's here. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. So we're just going to run, and if folks drop in and out, that's totally cool. But from here on out, we're delivering dum-dums and dice quality audio for all of you listening.
So no more comments on people's troubles.
Thank you for your patience. So, as with any get-rich-quick scheme, this idea has been festering in your heads, and as much as you try and ignore that little tiny voice that says, but maybe, the but maybe has finally got to you. And as a result, on today, of all days, despite that little tiny voice and that little tiny thing in the pit of your stomach suggesting that maybe this is a bad idea, you've decided to attempt it. So, with that in mind, why don't we figure out who each of you are?
I think I've decided who I am.
All right,
Hey,
it is
so
Claire.
have I.
All right. So you're going to be talking to Alina Surkov. She is a sorcerer who is slash escaped cultist who specializes in binding and inhabiting.
Okay.
All right, Alina
She's just
Surkov.
looking for a new group, you know? That's what she does.
All right,
We don't know why she left.
cool. Do you think that she's traveled far to be here? We are in the small village of Greyhaven.
In the States?
I'm sorry?
Greyhaven is, where geographically is that?
Oh, it's in a magical fantasy realm.
Oh, magical fantasy realm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes, I think she's come from a place. She's arrived here, ideally, where no one knows her name.
Great. So it's the opposite of Cheers.
Yes.
Great. Okay, very good. So, Greyhaven, I've been playing a lot of The Witcher 3, so just imagine any of the shitty small places you go to win a Gwent card or two, pick up one side quest, and then never return.
I thought you were going to just say, so imagine Witcher 3.
Well, you kind of did.
We're
in
playing The
more words.
Witcher 3. My character's name is Geralt. He's handsome and he fights hard.
I was going to say, I'm going to get confused by the potion system and stop playing after 20 minutes.
Just ignore the bombs and you'll be fine. Greyhaven is a very small, fairly poor town. It's, as the name suggests, a rather gloomy place. Think kind of small, single-story thatched roof style cottages. There's an inn that is active, but it's one of those places where no matter how hard the fire burns in the heath or how seemingly joyful everyone is when they arrive, you just can't quite get the cold out of your bones. Everyone's just a little bit cagey. It's just never quite comfortable. It should be, but it isn't. So yes, Alina, you have arrived from away on the back of a merchant's cart, hoping to see if you could find yourself a new cult or new magical.
Just new friends.
Unfortunately, soon thereafter, the merchant who you're traveling with took off again unexpectedly, and as a result, you find yourself hearing the tales of the Forest Queen and staring longingly at the remarkably green and lush forest that seems to be just down the path. Ryan, who are you?
I was going to say, what do you look like? That's the other question
yeah.
that I don't think came up.
Oh, that's a solid question. I think she is. She's tall. She's about 5'10". Long red hair. That's just down and about. I think, and then everything like blacks and grays. Black cloak, gray tunic. No visible weapons. Doesn't need them. Dark eyes. You're like, does she have black eyes? No, she doesn't. They're just dark.
She just invented mascara.
Very, very pale skin, very long nails.
Okay.
Excellent.
Cool.
All right, Ryan, who are you?
So I am Orlin. He's only got one name. He is. I don't think anybody else would know what Orlin is, because he looks like an even dirtier, slightly shorter, slightly crazier Danny DeVito, just in like incredibly dirty monk's robes. For you, Tom, he is an ex-cultist.
Yes.
He is a sorcerer.
Yeah.
And his ritual specialties are hollowing people, inhabiting people, and projecting himself.
Right?
So he's halfway along the ruined scale already. And his whole goal is just to escape his dreams of the forest.
Cool. Very cool.
We're gonna have fun.
What was his
Okay.
name again?
Orlin.
Orlin?
Wicked. And Tyler.
Picture DeVito playing Renfield. That's my realm.
I got these flies.
Yeah.
I love it. All right.
That's who he's becoming. It's Always Sunny then.
Yeah, pretty much. Tyler, what you got?
I also don't have a last name. I am Basso. I am a stealth sword, and I'm a big, bulky, beefy dude. I've got like cauliflower ears and just like a busted, wide open nose. It's all crooked and janked out. I've got like really, really short hair, and kind of it comes down into like a chin strap. I wear basically it might have been like a white shirt at one point, but it's just like brown and caked with mud and stuff like that. The sleeves are off, and he's got like huge rippling arms. He's a reformed thug. His drive is to buy his brother's freedom from Barcel prison, and his rituals are being able to channel, allowing spirits to act through him, and to summon, draw a known spirit or a person to him.
Cool.
Okay. Wicked. So it sounds to me as though the three of you, will say, I think that none of you hail from Greyhaven. This is a place that all of you have found your way to. Orlin, I think for you this is particularly concerning because you, as all great doomed Greek myths do, your dreams of the forest have invariably led you to within sight of what could be the forest, although admittedly it is grayer, drizzlier, and more tangled than you imagine, so maybe it's a different forest. Fingies crossed. Tyler, I think you've attempted your hand at I've been watching a lot of Better Call Saul lately, so apologize in advance for like this backing. But I think maybe what's happened for you is you tried to go clean. You tried to do the right thing. You used to be a thug, but you were like, no, like my brother's in jail now. Maybe you got released early, maybe you escaped, but you're trying to get him out. And you figured the best way to do that would be to stick by the straight and narrow and just try and earn your way out. But being a sellsword doesn't pay very much. It's never been good. People keep paying you 2 gold and 1 experience to clear rats out of their basement. And no matter how many barrels you smash, there just isn't any gold or loot. And I think you've actually found it incredibly difficult to make a life as a sellsword. And as a result, when you heard of the Queen's Weald, the forest, and the Queen's treasure, I think less than going to, well, actually, maybe I'll leave this up to you. I think maybe for you, it's either the promise of working for the Forest Queen, who's known to have unfathomable wealth, or robbing her. And I'm not sure which of those would appeal most to your current sensibility, but I think it's probably one of those two. And Orlin, upon your arrival in Greyhaven, you began to hear the tales of the kind of boons that the Queen could grant. And I think rather than avoid the forest for the rest of your life, which you've been trying to do, but just finding it impossible to properly avoid, you perhaps gave in to the idea of, if I can't escape it, perhaps I can make a deal. So less, you've been running for your whole life, and now it's time to confront it. You know you can't defeat the forest, but perhaps you can buy your way out. So the three of you awake in the various places. Where do you think you'd all be staying in Greyhaven? It has 1 inn.
The nicest room they have.
Okay, cool.
Is there a stable?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be sleeping in the stable with the horses and goats. 2 gold and 1 experience does not buy you much in an inn.
And I think Orlin would be sleeping in a mud puddle under a cart.
Okay, excellent. So you, all of you awake with a sense of purpose today. You know that this is the sort of place you were looking to explore and see kind of what was available, but you awake with a sense of purpose, and then to your surprise, Alina, there is a bird, a small, brilliantly blue bird that has alighted on your windowsill and is singing a song while seemingly staring directly at you. And as your attention begins to wander, it begins to peck at the glass and kind of sort of tweet and bounce happily along your windowsill in a very sort of classically Disney way.
Jesus Christ. Who are you? All right, fine. Then she's going to go to the window and just kind of open it a crack.
You hear the bird do and then it starts flying off towards the forest. When it sees you aren't following, it swings back around and stares at you.
I cannot fly, Jesus Christ.
The bird looks mildly frustrated, drops to the ground, and starts walking towards the forest. And then it stops and starts tapping its bird foot.
Yeah, I get the message. I'm gonna get my shit and go.
Okay, and I imagine you're probably traveling pretty light.
Yeah, I had to get out of my last place real quick.
That's fair. What's the you said you're an escaped cultist. Were you fond of your cult or anti-cult?
I think I tried to take over the cult, and it did not go.
That's what I was hoping.
So I think I stole all the cult's money and ran.
Okay, amazing. What's the icon of your cult that you're? You don't have to have an answer for this right away, but think of something that's basically your holy icon. What's the piece you took with you?
Oh, like a sigil kind of thing?
Yeah. What's, and it could have been something you broke off an altar on your way out, but what's the thing?
We'll say it is a squid.
All right, wicked. So you kind of grab that last, throw it in your bag, and rush out to follow the impatient bird. Orlin, you are enjoying a nice muddy snooze, dreaming of a beautiful forest glade that fills you with terror. And you awake to a small chittering noise. You hear a...
Please don't eat Orlin. Don't eat Orlin. And then I just wake up out of the forest dream.
You wake up to see a squirrel with a small pile of nuts, and it's chewing one. And when you wake up, it freezes and then just slowly extends the nut to you.
Oh, you need Orlin. Yes, agree. And then Orlin will take the nut and eat it.
It's really good.
Oh, beneficent squirrel. Good squirrel, good. More nut.
So the two of you enjoy a nut breakfast, chittering back and forth to each other. Even though neither of you speak each other's language, you kind of do. It's adorable, and we all love it. So you finish chowing down with your squirrel buddy, and then the squirrel starts tugging on your sleeve and kind of gesturing towards the forest.
Oh, you have squirrel cult? Need Orlin? Orlin will join.
Yeah, the squirrel gives you a look and then kind of goes and nods at you, and then starts guiding you towards the forest. Basso.
Yeah.
You are nudged awake in the stable, and you have a horrible feeling, a horrible sinking feeling that you had several times before, that someone has brought a horse back. And you sort of spring awake because you're obviously kind of half sleeping to be prepared for this. Mm-hmm. Roll over, and there is a deer that is standing in the stall next to you, and just kind of looking at you with those literal doe eyes.
Okay.
And it kind of nods at you, and then kind of like grabs your sleeve and starts to pull you towards the exit.
What the hell? Let's decide what Basso's voice is. Okay. You lead the way, little dear. I'll be right behind you, and I'll grab my. Do we have weapons? I'm a sellsword. Do I?
Yeah, I would imagine you have a weapon. What
sword?
Sword? Sure. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, did you go to jail with your brother, or did your brother go to jail and you didn't?
We both went to jail, and I've in the time that we've been speaking, I've got a whole fucking Jake Peralta backstory for Basso. If you want to hear it.
I'm happy to let it come out over the course of the adventure.
Sure.
But the one thing I need from you now is where's your sword from?
It's a prison guard sword.
All right, very good. Sorry, it's driving me nuts. I keep hearing myself fade in and out. It's bothering me to no end.
Okay.
On Dum Dums, we have mics down our throats, and now that we're in our new quarantine setup, it's an adjustment. So we're making it work. So the three of you, led by different means, begin to make your way towards this kind of tangled forest that you can see. As you go, Orlin, I know you're a weird fellow, but do you give off like a vibe of kind of like lovable weirdo, or is it more like crazed hermit?
I think it's crazed hermit, but he's harmless. Like you would look at him and you would just be like, that is a scared, harmless man. He's weird, and I don't want to hang out with him. Danny DeVito age. Like I think he's
Is
like
it just Danny DeVito? Is that
physically
so you're a smelly Friar Tuck.
Yeah, honestly, yes. Okay. A little spooky, yeah. Like, but not. He doesn't read
Friar Tuck.
He reads pathetic.
Okay. On your way out of town, there's a little girl and her younger brother who are kind of watching you go. And you can see the little boy looks very concerned. He's kind of like tugging on his sister's sleeve. And she kind of brushes him off and runs up to you and says, "Pardon me, mister. Are you headed to the Queen's Wold?"
Orlin, go to the woods and dreams. A squirrel cult.
Oh, no. Okay, that's what I was scared of. And she turns around and just like glares at her brother. And she's like, "I fucking told you, Timmy." And he's like, "Don't swears." And then she turns back to you and she's like, "Maybe don't go, sir. It's very scary out there and very bad things happen."
What happened? What happened to others?
I mean, no one likes to tell us because we're just little kids. And we're not going to go because that would make this story real dark. But it's scary out there, and I worry for you. I don't know that you should go.
Very reasonable. But Orlin make promise to Squirrel, and Orlin need to stop dreams. Dreams scary. Here, girl, you have Orlin's rope. And Orlin unties his belt. He has two belongings. One is a dirty robe, and then it's just a rope he was using as a belt. So he's probably going to trip over his clothing now, but he will give it to the girl because it's his only prized possession. Just say, you protect rope. You live long life. No go forest. Never dream.
Okay. She's like, well, that's a mix of very good advice and very specific, strange advice. And she turns around and Timmy's kind of like hiding behind a log, and she walks over and she's like, "I got rope. You got nothing." And then she walks away.
And then Orlin looks to Timmy and he goes, "No, Timmy, you have smart fear. Stay smart." And then Orlin will go.
All right. Sounds good. So with that, Orlin, you head off down the road. The three of you kind of come to a stop in your own time at the edge in that classic like German Black Forest, full-on spooky fairy tale forest way. At the edge of the woods, there's a light rain, gray clouds. The air is not that cold, but somehow it's biting. You can feel it on your flesh, even though it shouldn't be troublesome to you. And you think you can hear just a light peal of laughter on the air from the woods. And in the same way that standing outside a place that has air conditioning blasting in the middle of the summer, you can feel just kind of that cold. Here you can feel warmth coming kind of down the forest path towards you as you stand at the mouth of this wood. And you're a little bit surprised, actually, when you realize that you're all standing together, that there are, in fact, 3 of you standing at the mouth of this wood. And I think, collectively you introduce yourselves. The thing that I would like from all of you is what you're going to tell your new companions. I think you come to an agreement pretty quickly that it's safer to travel together. Safe to go alone. Here, take this. Yep. What do you tell each other your goal is?
I'm looking for the Queen's treasure.
Yes.
Should be enough to split pretty generously for everyone.
Yes, of course we obviously split equally at the end. Of course we do that. Why would we do anything else?
If we watch each other's backs, we'll be able to get through it, and then we can split the prize.
Mm-hmm.
Orlin good at watching. Orlin just no want dreams. Orlin carry heavy things.
You look scared, little man.
Ha ha. Orlin is not man. Orlin is worm. Orlin has been told worm whole life.
You're the biggest worm I've ever seen.
Thank you. Orlin like you.
I like you. I can work with you, I think.
Squirrel, what about friends? And I looked at the squirrel.
The squirrel's gone, as is the bird, as is the deer.
Wait, you got squirrel? I got shitty passive-aggressive bird.
Well, I got a baby deer. Little dog.
What the fuck?
I realized only after I made up that character that I'm just describing the Twitter logo. It's like an asshole blue bird who's like, you gotta follow me, or otherwise, fuck you. Yeah,
it leads you to somewhere only the bird profits.
Yeah, and that bird will not kick a single Nazi off that platform. Wicked.
Bird's name is Jack.
Spoilers, dude. There goes Act 5. Okay, so you step into the woods, and it's you can tell that the path, sort of the road that you've been walking, doesn't directly lead to the woods. There is definitely a very worn path, but the road itself doesn't. It bypasses the woods. As you begin to step in, you start to find some discarded gear, kind of near the mouth of the woods. You notice a sword that has sort of moss growing up it. It seems long rusted, long forgotten. You see an adventurer's pack, the kind you get at level 1 in D&D and forget about until you need some batons later in life. You see some kind of like heavy traveling cloaks that seem to have rotted. There's no signs of violence, and there's no signs of there's not like the classic don't go in here skeleton. But there just seems to have been almost a casting off of certain things. You see kind of a rusted battle axe. There's some pieces of armor and some other things.
Friends, new friends. Are we supposed to naked?
If you take off clothes, we are done. You are turning around and going back to the village.
No, Orlin cannot leave New Cult. No.
That rain was pretty nasty. I don't think I want to get rid of any of my clothes. And,
no one is getting rid of clothes. I am making this executive decision.
What is that?
Never
mind. Executive is highest rank in all cult. Executive rule cult make profit.
Yes.
Profit for cult.
Precisely what I was in previous cult.
Well, I'm not. Is this a cult now? I don't want to be in the cult. I just wanted the treasure.
No, don't worry. We are friends.
I only came here to get the treasure.
This is cult. She executive.
Oh, no.
We in cult. One person not wanting to be in cult. How you know is cult.
I don't like that. Then I'm gonna walk this way.
No, Basso, listen to me. We are not cult. I am making him comfortable by telling him it's cult. I'm just gonna, kind of put my hand on your shoulder and just be like, don't worry about it. It's fine. We'll get the treasure, all right?
Okay.
We'll stick together.
I'm watching you.
Orlin,
No one's indoctrinating anyone.
Orlin, your
You're a
robes. Yeah, she's a doctor called. Your clothes feel very scratchy. The fabric just is sitting ill. Elena's told you, Elena, how do you, Alina, great. Alina has told you that you're done if you take these clothes off, but you do. It's just one of those things that you just kind of live with. But man, it would be nice to feel the rain on your matted Danny DeVito body hair. It would make you feel so alive to just not be wearing these clothes anymore.
Orlin no deserve nice. Orlin has to do what say. And he's just like rubbing it on his chest to like make the hair hurt with the shirt.
Tyler,
Orlin's not a happy guy.
Is Basso carrying his sword, or is it on his back or on his belt?
It's in a scabbard, but it can't be attached to anything. The attachment, the leather strap, is long gone. So he just has it in one hand all the time.
Okay, cool, very cool, yeah. Great. Alina, as you start to make your way in, you start to there's a slight throbbing in your forehead, and this has happened to you before when you've been around magic. Also, Orlin's a lot, but it's a noticeable throb. So as you begin to kind of make your way into the forest, you're kind of early on pushing bushes aside, pushing branches aside, climbing over things. And slowly but surely, you feel your skin begin to warm. And you feel your sort of core begin to warm. And you feel your whole body begin to just feel more at ease. And the air suddenly smells fresh again. From just personal experience recently, I went for like a long walk a couple days ago after being cooped up in my apartment for a few days. And it was just like feeling a fresh breeze and being able to actually breathe deeply and enjoy that sensation. And the rain that's been harassing you since you came within sight of Greyhaven has slowly abated. And you can hear the sounds of the forest around you. And for Alina and Basso, you feel, I think both of you are people of action, and you don't feel particularly comfortable in comfort, but you begin to feel at ease a little bit, whether that's Basso for you, how it feels stretching after sword practice and feeling your muscles unclench, or Alina, how it felt for like the hot second you ran that cult, like for the few days when your Cobra Commander Starscream bullshit paid off and like you were able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. For a second, it was great. Orlin, for you, this is hell, because this is the feeling you felt in your dreams. I feel like for you, nightmares are very comforting, like, or what other people would consider comforting dreams. For you, they're hell, but like,
I think he's been like abused and kicked out of so many cults that for him, like the promise of something nice is actually the scariest thing.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Being treated vaguely dismissively and maybe hit occasionally is his comfort zone, where he's like, okay, I know the deal.
Oh, hit you.
Love that. So as you begin to make your way further and further in, it occurs to you that you actually don't know how long you've been walking. It doesn't seem like very long, but the climate seems to have changed so drastically. Everything is green and lush and verdant, and the sort of mopey and sepia hellscape of Greyhaven feels a distant memory. Also, the path is becoming easier as you move through it. There's less on the ground. It's easier to move through, and you feel yourself drawn forward. Suddenly, you burst into a clearing, almost by accident. You almost stumble, and for a minute, you're blinded by bright sunlight streaming down through the scattered branches, and you hear the sounds of sobs There are people. There's a voice very clearly in distress. And as you look about, you also all feel remarkably broken by this. It cuts you to the very, very core, like hearing a child fall over and skim their knee, and just like really, like genuinely hurts to hear. And you see a small goat herd, who is sitting there. With kind of a small herd of goats around him, sort of chewing on grass and staring impassively at him. And he has his head in his hands, his crook by his feet, and he is just wailing away.
This is a strange place to cry, little man.
No, jeez. And he falls awkwardly off his stump into a pile of goat shit. And then he looks at himself and he's like, oh, it got worse. I asked how it could get any worse, and it got worse. Oh.
Up right now.
Why? I'm sad. Crying's what you do when you're sad.
You're better than this.
No, I'm really not.
He might not be. I mean, we don't know him.
He gets it. I am having a bad day.
Why are you crying?
One of my goats got away, and he's the cool goat. The other goats don't respect me. They only respect him. And with him gone, the goats just won't do anything I want them to do.
We have to help this cultist find his executive goat. Only way to save his goat cult.
I think he needs to make himself the leader of whatever clan this is.
Well, the cool goat listens to me. I saved his life when he was little. But none of the rest of them do.
Why did Cool Goat go away?
I lost him in the woods. I heard that song, that song, the song? And he looks at you imploringly.
Do we know the song?
You don't. You have no idea what he's talking about.
Orlin's like, Orlin know the song, and Orlin do worse than you. Tell more story. And Orlin just takes some goat shit and just like smears it on himself. And he's like, look, lower, worse.
Okay, that does make me feel a bit better. That's really nice. I think I saw that in a traveling play called Billy Madison once. I thought it was cool then, and I think it's cool now. All right. My name's Milar, and this is my goat stop. My best goat, Jerry, got away, though. So if you could help me out, I'd happily give you some cool loot and such.
I like such.
Oh, good. Okay. Cool. I was only going to offer you the loot, but I decided to tack on the and such because I was nervous. So yeah, if you could help me find my goat, that you'd be doing me a real solid, and that would be a real change of pace. I mean, rub and poop on yourself was nice. That was a good start, but really, I need this goat. He's the alpha goat.
Are any of your goats for eating? We have not eaten yet.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. They're mostly for like goat's milk and stuff, but I mean, honestly, that one's been giving me the stink eye all day. So you know what? You bring Jerry back, we can fucking kill that guy. We just can't get near him till Jerry's here, and you see that goat, and sure enough, like he's got cool attitude. He's like smoking out behind the boys' room. But yeah, he does indeed look like a pretty ornery goat. The rest of them are staring very impassively and unimpressively at all of you. Except for Orlin, who they're all kind of looking at with begrudging respect.
Okay, where did Cool Goat go?
I mean, last I saw him was off over there. I heard that song and I just had to follow it. You sometimes you just get the need to move and groove. That need to move and groove.
Are you hearing song right now?
No, I haven't heard it since I found this clearing. My goat stopped.
Could you whistle some of the song?
Sing for them, Song of Goat.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Hear the goat song.
Yeah, I'll do you one better. So he pulls out a very old and worn set of panpipes, and he puts them to his lips, and when occasionally you're like walking through a carnival or a street festival or something else, and you just hear like the one guy who's playing like the Kill Bill flute. It's that. It's just a really beautiful, melodic, soulful tune, and as soon as Milar closes his eyes and begins to flute his flute, you're actually kind of like taken with the amount of passion and joy he's putting into it. It sounds like shit. He's not very good at the pan flute. He plays for goats, but the enthusiasm and the care to which he's doing it, like it's anytime you've been to karaoke and seen either me or someone else who's like aggressively bad at karaoke but is just fucking giving it, it's that where you're like, holy shit, they're enjoying this so much and I don't enjoy much as they enjoy this. And as soon as he stops, there are tears rolling down his eyes, and the mean goat's like
But if you pan the camera back, you actually see that Orlin got so caught up in the music that he has passed out unconscious. And the reason why is getting caught up in the song and knowing he's looking for a goat. A lot of Orlin's powers get used by accident. He has actually cast a ritual and projected himself out of his body towards the goat traveling along the spiritual energy of the song.
holy shit.
Like the cool goat that's currently lost.
Yeah, he's off looking for Jerry because the song led to Jerry.
All right,
Right.
so Ryan, you're trying to project your presence along that sort of like goat ley line, is that correct?
Yeah, so I know where the goat is.
You fired a goat-seeking missile.
Yeah, it's a music-powered goat rocket.
All right. So that brings us to our first roll of the game. Ooh. So Ryan, I'm going to need you to please. Oh, and one of the fun things about Trophy is because it is a conversational game. Claire and Tyler, feel free to jump in with stuff you think might be applicable here as well. One of the things that we can do collectively as a group is offer devil's bargains. So if there is a devil's bargain you want to offer, feel free. So Ryan, you're going to roll 1d6 for having used this power as a sorcerer. This is just something that you're accustomed to. This is well within your wheelhouse. But you are calling upon magical energies, so you have to roll one dark die as well. The devil's bargain I will give you is you can add an additional die, but you risk bringing a bit of the goat back with you.
Yeah, he's dumb, so I'm going to take that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that will be 2 light die and 1 dark die. And go ahead and roll those for us and let us know what you pull.
Okay, so my 2 light die are both 5s, and my dark die was a 3.
Nice.
Great. So out of 5, you succeed with consequence. And because you took the devil's bargain, you just get that result. So you travel kind of through the woods and through the forest, and you find a goat grazing sort of at the top of a cliff. There's a beautiful sort of thin waterfall running off the cliff into a fairly clear pool, probably 4 or 5 meters below. It's a small clearing. The goat seems to have nommed some berries. So as you're projecting, or you're trying to inhabit the goat?
Projecting. So I'm just floating around looking for it.
So you look around, you see the goat. The goat seems to stumble a little bit. You think it might be drunk on the berries. And you can see it start to like stumble towards the cliff. And then your brain shoots kind of back through the woods. You see a glimpse of a woman yelling obscenities and shaking her tiny wizened fist. You hear the yelp of an animal in pain, and then you slam back into your body to find a sort of odd itching on your legs. And as you look down, you can see you're sprouting some goatly hair kind of down your thighs to your feet.
And your face hurts because I've been slapping you awake this whole time.
Oh,
No avail.
Yes, I just
Orlin feel normal up top, but weird down bottom. Stop hit, Orlin.
Oh, yeah, I fixed you. You're awake.
Yeah,
And then Orlin will look down and just like pull up his robes to look at his legs. What's the sitch, Tom?
They are hairy. Not like full
Mr.
full
Tumnus?
hair, but not a full tumnus, but like a patchy, like you can't quite grow a beard, Mr. Tumnus. So honestly, Danny DeVito Tumnus. So not quite Phil from Hercules.
Danny DeTumnus?
Danny DeTumnus, yes. Tumnus DeVito.
So it's not quite pants. Like I couldn't ditch the robes and still look clothed.
No, your dangly bits would still be dangly. You just have like a weird half carpet stapled to your legs.
Yeah.
Sorry, Claire, what were you going to say?
I said no one is ditching their pants here.
I mean, we'll see where the adventure takes us, but
That's true.
Orlin only have robes, no pants. Wait. Orlin distracted by new hair. There is a woman, hurt animal, and drunk goat about fall off cliff.
oh, if the goat's drunk, it must be the cool goat. Let's go, and I'll start.
So
I see you pointing, Cam. Should I just?
I'll imagine, yeah, I'll point and then be ready to
I'll
go.
pick you up under my arm, you little DeVito munchkin, and I'll just start running with you to show me.
Get the goat herder before I go and just be like, you promise I can use goat blood for ritual, yes? I can seal?
as long as it's the jerk,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, deal? Okay, good. And I'm going to follow them.
Cool. So you take off into the forest, barreling ahead, and Basso, it's nice to have some literal direction for the first time in a while. For a fellow such as you, having some kind of point the way is huge. So you're barreling through the woods, and as you do so, you hear kind of a cry, almost a feline, or sorry, a canine cry of pain, and you kind of can see up ahead that there is a fox whose leg is trapped in an iron sort of vice trap. It's pulling at the metal teeth with its little foxy arm. And kind of looking at you imploringly.
And I'll point and go, Executive, help Fox. We save goat.
Basso, do you mind?
What does that mean in this context?
I mean, can you go use muscles and free fox? No animal should suffer unless it's for necessary purpose.
Okay, so you guys go ahead and I'll free the fox.
No, we wait.
I coming, Jerry! And I just run because I got to save this
Wriggle
goat
out
before
of
he
my
falls
arms.
off a cliff. Yeah.
All right. Alina, do you go with Orlin or do you stay with Basso? This is a classic Telltale Walking Dead thing.
I think I'm gonna go with Orlin just because I'm afraid he's gonna hurt himself.
You are correct. So Basso, you make your way over to the fox, who you can see is almost starting to rend its flesh against the teeth of this trap. What's your plan?
Put the sword down on the ground, both hands, and I'm gonna slowly approach the fox with my hands out and open. Is the fox trying to snap at me or anything? Or is
No,
it pretty...
Fox is 100% focused on this iron
Okay,
vice.
then it's just slip my fingers between the teeth that are crunching down on its leg and pry that trap apart.
Okay, so as soon as your fingers reach the iron trap, you can actually feel a warmth in your fingertips. And as you press your hands against the trap, you actually recoil in pain. The trap feels red hot.
Huh. Do you feel that, little fox?
Fox is like,
You nut. And I'll take out my sword, and since it comes to a point and then gets wider, I'll try and wedge it in to widen the teeth, at least enough for this fox to pull its little
Sure.
limb out.
So I'm gonna have your roll for that. We'll say 1 for kind of just your natural strength, Obviously, a dark die for forcing this. Devil's bargain I'll give you is you can feel your sword kind of bend a little bit as you do this. You're pretty sure if you force it that you can manage to open the trap, but you will risk breaking your sword. It won't like be unusable. It'll just be basically go from like being kind of a long sword to a weird broken half sword. You can still cut off Sauron's fingers with it though. So I mean that's a bonus.
Save the fox, but break the sword.
I don't think I'll take that. I think feeling it breaking like that is really like jarring.
Yeah, and you can still use it to open the trap. It's it's a difference between being like snap and being like, we'll take this.
Yeah, that's so weird to Basso. So he'll ease up on that and kind of more slow, steady, and deliberate than.
Cool. So
if we're doing a shared option, perhaps another devil's bargain, you can move the sword a little closer to the center, which is more likely to open the trap. But then the fox may believe you are the trapper.
Also good.
Cool. Yeah, I'll take that. Because I don't think Basso's thinking about that. So it's all like win to him in that scenario. He doesn't know what the fox is thinking.
Groovy. So grab an extra die there, Tyler. So that's 2 light die and 1 dark die.
Okay. Oh, that's a 6 on one of the light die and a 1 on the dark die.
Nice.
Cool. All right, great. So with you, there's a moment where the fox kind of like locks eyes with you and it's like, but you reach out and just like very cautiously stroke the back of its head reassuringly and then crank the trap open. The fox manages to pull its arm out with minimal damage, aside from just the damage incurred from the trap snapping shut, and seems to give you like a you bow to no one nod, like a and then takes off into the woods. Meanwhile, you Orlin, you are just tearing through the trees, and you can hear someone just swearing a blue streak, like just full sailor style, like go fuck yourself plus stuff, and you can hear like tiny feet stamping angrily. It seems to be from just a little ways off to your right. It's not directly on your route though.
Executive, go ahead, save Goat. Orlin, find out who Scary Lady is.
And Orlin will just book to the right. He doesn't really take a lot of time to think.
So here's a question for you, Ryan. Why do you think Orlin is trying to save this many people? Is it literally because like he's had such a rough ride that he's out to kind of make sure that doesn't happen for other people? What's driving him to solve these individual issues?
I think Orlin's big problem is that he always wants an authority figure that can like make his world safe, and nobody's really put themselves in charge yet. So as long as he's useful, then he gets hit, but he gets included until he's not useful, and then he's out.
Cool.
So sad.
Gotcha. So Orlin, you burst through sort of a tangle of twigs and such to see just like a furious little old lady. And she is clearly well traveled and wearing like pretty much like adventurer's gear. But she is like you in the process of breaking a pretty like ornate, well-carved walking stick against a rock, and yelling, "You hooligans! You get back here with my jars, you fuckos!"
And then Orlin's like, no hit, Orlin, help, please.
Yeah, she turns around
to his knees.
and she's like, "No, you're not one of those ruffians. You're just a scruffy, sad man." What?
Orlin is sad. Orlin barely man. Orlin is worm. And then he'll throw himself down on the ground.
Cool. Well, Worm, I got a problem. I had some honey pots. They all got stoled.
Oh no, who took pots?
bandits!
Oh, bandits!
Motherfucking bandits!
Oh, bandits kill us all. No safe. We should run.
No, I need those honeypots back.
Oh, Orlin, sorry. And he's just back down on the ground again. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't know what
all
to do.
right. Yeah, okay. I forgive you. I won't hit you with what's left of my stick. But
Orlin, thank.
I was planning on offering those honey pots to the forest queen to help me with my arthritis.
And
That's
Orlin's
right. We've
eyes-
diagnosed arthritis in this world.
Sure have.
Oren's eyes just sparkle all of a sudden now that he knows there's something that the queen might want. Because the queen sounds like the biggest authority figure Orlin has heard of in the woods, and he wants his dreams to end, though he has told no one about this.
Excellent. So she's like, well, I see your eyes light up with possibility there, kiddo. Look, they went that way. If you can bring them back, I'll put in a good word for you.
Yes. Orlin do good. Orlin do good for old lady. Orlin be back. Orlin is worm.
So off you go. Now, here's the question, Orlin. Do you think you would... Two questions for you. Are you going to kind of round up the rest of the party to try and find these bandits, or are you going alone? Second question, are you going to bring these honeypots back to her, or are you going to keep them to deliver to the queen?
Orlin would go scout, because if he thinks he can do it on his own, he would. And he has no intention whatsoever of ever bringing them back to this woman. Because if the queen wants it, Orlin needs credit.
Cool.
He's been not welcomed into so many cults.
All right. So, Alina, you are very angrily at this point now that your theoretical two converts didn't come with you. Climbing a small cliff. It's more. I don't get the sense you're like a huge like outdoorsy cult sorcerer.
Talker, I'm figurehead. I don't climb.
Yeah,
goddamn.
exactly. So like you're very proud of yourself for like trekking up this very gentle incline in the outdoors. You're feeling, self-satisfied the way I do when I do like a 10-minute switch boxing thing, and I'm like, I did exercise today. And you are almost up, although I think like slightly out of breath, not that you'd ever tell anyone, when you can begin to hear that song. But what's fascinating to you is that it isn't the shitty pan flute version that old Milar was playing. It weirdly sounds like the version you would like. It's your fit. What's Alina's favorite instrument?
I think it would be like almost like a Gregorian chorus. It wouldn't.
Yeah,
be
all right. So you hear
chanting kind of things.
Yeah, you hear like a beautiful haunting chanting version of it, and it sounds like a lot of voices, and they're not too far away. Here's the devil's bargain-ish, I guess, for you. You can try and find the origin of these voices, or you can save this drunken goat that seems to be kind of like stumbling towards the edge of the cliff.
I'm going to save the drunken goat because there's no way she's going towards a horde of creepy voices after just being told that they're like songs being sung in the woods.
Right.
She's a sorcerer. She knows this shit. This is not good.
It's like watching Ash go around the cabin in Evil Dead 2 after he's savvy to things, and he's like, no, I'm not opening that door.
It's like any horror movie where they hear the like little children singing, and they're like, let's go. No,
Yeah.
You don't go to the singing.
There's a choir of the damned over there. Let's go explore. All right, wicked. So you leave you leave the voices to their singing, tapping your toe along with the tune. You grab Jerry by his like cool alpha goat necktie and start dragging him back down the cliff. Orlin, can you roll me a like basically the equivalent of a stealth check?
Yeah.
So, given that you are skilled in deception as a cultist, we'll say it's that. So that's one white for you. Obviously, one dark die, and the devil's bargain I'll give you is you can add an extra die but it will mean that they are aware that if you manage to like steal back the honeypot, they will be aware that it was you and that it's gone.
Okay, so is this roll to steal or just to
This is you
scope
creeping up on the edge of the woods, but for the purposes of kind of the compression that happens in Trophy, I think if it's a full success, then like you can just take those pots and go.
Okay. Otherwise, I get some pots and I can bail out.
Or you scouted it and it seems impossible.
No, he's not that smart. I think he's just got to take some risks. So yeah, he's going to go for the honeypot. He's an immediate fella. This
all right. Do it up.
All right. That is a 4 on the dark die as the highest score.
That's great news. So
not for Orlin, but for us.
Yeah. So Ryan, go ahead and roll me. You need to roll a ruin roll. So this is a dark die.
That is a definitive fail. I rolled a 6.
Okay. Shit. Equal to or higher than your highest. Oh man. All right. So add one more ruin.
I did. I'm at 4 now.
Oh God, buddy.
So you on a 4 doesn't really help you that much either.
But complicate.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So basically, Ryan, I think what happens to you is you start making your way into the camp, and you can see that the bandits seem to be making sort of a pot of hooch with these berries that the goat is drunk off of. And you actually find yourself being like fairly nimble as you make your way through. You're not able to get all of them, but you're able to get one honey pot. You're kind of astounded at how nimble you are and fast on your feet. But as you start to make your way out, you hear like "Hey, wait a minute! We stole those fair and square!" And a bunch of the bandits start to chase you, but you book it out of there. You are remarkably fast. That said, you do hear as you kind of rush off into the trees, the bandits yell, "How'd you steal back our honey, old lady?" And then the sounds of a very serious beating. You manage to meet back up with Alina, who's leading the goat, and with Basso, who is looking at his sword with some degree of concern. And Alina and Basso, you notice that Orlin's feet are gone, and they've been replaced by hooves, and his legs are now fully furred.
That is perhaps a problem.
Orlin, were you the cool goat all along?
The cool goat was the friends we made along the way.
Orlin is not cool. Orlin is worm. What you say different about Orlin?
Look down at your feet, Orlin. You got little goat feet.
Oh, blessing or curse.
You're not a worm anymore. You're half goat, at least.
Is this blessing or curse?
Perhaps,
Is this blessing or curse?
perhaps step up. We don't know you very well, but I'm guessing step up from worm.
Blessing. A blessing from Queen. I have your pot, Queen. Orlin, love you.
Orlin, make one thing very clear. I would prefer us to stick together going forward, yes?
Oh, yes, executive. Yes. Whatever will get Orlin to Queen.
Yes.
So you return to the goat stop, and Milar's overjoyed. He also starts sobbing uncontrollably when you bring back Cool Goat. You get the sense that maybe that's just kind of his thing. He's overjoyed. He kind of like nods solemnly to you, Alina, and then turns his back, leaving.
Okay, so I'm not going to outright slaughter this goat, but I do want to get some of its blood and put it in like a jar that I have in my bag.
Cool. Do you enlist Basso's help in holding it down?
Yes, I do, if Basso is so willing. If Basso
I don't really get it. Why the goat carries the blood just fine.
Yes, no, but listen, going forward, goat blood, very good for rituals. Who knows, this forest, lots of magic, might need ritual, it's for everyone's benefit.
Well, I don't know much about rituals.
Well, I do, so you can take everything...
You are a doctor.
as truth.
And when you both look over, Orlin has already slit the throat of the goat and says, "Blood for you, executive!
Oh,
Get
Jesus!
jar!"
Oh my God! She's gonna like run forward with the jar.
Okay, so you have a jar on you.
Yes.
Great. So you fill it, and the rest of the goats kind of look on in horror. And then Milar looks over his shoulder and he's like, "Snitches get stitches." And then he turns back to the rest of his herd. He's overjoyed that you managed to bring his goat back, and as a reward, he says, "I don't have much, but what I do is I offer up to you." And he lays out his panpipes, a sturdy goat horn comb that he seems to have carved. And there's a perfectly ripe green apple with just a sweet red blush on it.
I'll take the comb.
Yep.
I'll take
First,
the
we just gotta have
apple.
hair.
Yep.
Orlin, take flute. Play queen music from hills. Music in soul. Goat in feet.
Great. And with that, he kind of shows you to a secret goat path that he's used for many years. And as you begin to head deeper into the forest, you can just hear him behind you kind of go, "Oh, the music stopped." And when you turn back, the clearing, the goat herd, and the goats are gone. So you're venturing further and further into the forest, into the Queen's Weald. And as you do so, you begin to find that the trees are growing larger, more dense. It becomes harder and harder to see the sky. If you want to think of this in kind of Canadian terms, it's like suddenly you've gone from sort of, "Oh, I'm just walking through some regular trees," to like, "Oh, I'm in like interior BC trees, like big fucking trees." And also your sense of direction begins to falter. Basso, I feel like you're probably the one who would notice this first, given that you're kind of a man of the road. You've had a harder life. As you kind of look around, you don't really have any sense. Like you turn around and behind you there's an incline, but the ground you've been walking on has been flat. But it seems like you just walked down a hill.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll kind of put my hands out for everyone to stop. Just hold on a second. Look behind us. Does everyone see the same thing?
Yep.
It's like we just walked down a hill, but we haven't been going down a hill, right?
Yes, forest very magical.
You don't seem as bothered by this as I am.
This is all for the queen. All for the queen.
We gotta be able to figure out how to get back out of here once we get the Queen's treasure.
The
Yes,
queen
well,
will.
that is for after we get treasure. Those are tomorrow's problems.
What are your plans for the queen?
Well, we shall see when we meet her. I would like to have chat about what she plans on doing with treasure. Just friendly chat.
I mean, we don't even have to meet her. We just need the treasure. I mean, why make this so complicated? It makes my head hurt.
I just, would like to know her particular hierarchy, what system she has in place, any, openings, just normal things.
And where the treasure is, right?
Of course.
Elena, as you finish saying that to Basso, over his shoulder, you can see two golden, sort of almost coin-shaped things glinting at you out of the darkness. And then beside them, you see two more. And beside them, you see two more. And as you begin to kind of scan the area behind Basso, you can see that these sort of golden circles you're seeing begin to blink, and you see one of them begin to circle around.
No good. Gentlemen, I believe we have company.
And I'll look around and see these
Yeah, you can
eyes
see
in the dark.
Yeah, you can see the eyes. You can see they almost look like sort of dire wolf-sized creatures lurking just beyond the trees. Again, Basso, for you, this is strange because they're theoretically where you just came from.
Yeah.
Can
I'll
Sorry.
draw my sword out of the scabbard
Yep.
just in case.
Can I inhabit one of these animals to see what their intentions are?
Sure, go ahead. So you'll get 1 light die for your skills and for your background. You'll get, obviously, your 1 ruin die for evoking one of your powers. I'll give you an extra 1. Yeah, I'll give you an extra 1, but you might not be able to control the body once you're inside it.
As in, like, I couldn't choose to leave it?
No, as in if it were to attack someone, you might have to go along for the ride.
Like you're not driving the bus, you're just riding.
Oh, no. I didn't want to drive the bus. That would be no. I can do that with another ritual. I just want to know what intentions are.
Sure.
All right. Cool.
So you're taking the devil's bargain or no? I assume no.
Do you want to hear a second one?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was thinking you could enter the wolf's consciousness, but a little bit of that wolf persona comes back with you into your body. Not in like physically manifesting itself, but you take on the mannerisms and attitude of a apex predator.
Yeah, you could absorb some of it, for lack of a better term, goat style.
Done, baby.
Snarf, snarf, motherfuckers. All right, so add that 1 extra light die and go ahead and roll, Claire.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah!
That is my highest dice is the dark dice, which is a 5.
Oh, yum, yum, yum. Okay, so Claire, go ahead and roll. Roll a dark dice. Try and get under your current ruin level.
Oh. Oh, no. Come on.
Oh, yes.
What's your current level? 2?
I did it! 2. I rolled a 1.
All right. It's the most excited I've ever seen someone beat a roll of 1. Snake eye. Okay, wicked. So you kind of like your eyes roll up into the back of your head. And I think where our boy Orlin just falls over, I think you actually just like levitate slightly, but it's like full on like Galadriel with the ring, like your hair just kind of splays out, and your arms are like twitching at an uncomfortable like Japanese horror movie way. Yeah, exactly like that. And your consciousness inhabits this wolf. The wolf isn't hungry, but it is having fun. And you can tell that for it and its brethren, this is sport.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm gonna come on right on back.
Sure. So
Does
you
this mean that I now am wolf-like, like a little bit? It's because did I lose that?
no, you have to. So by taking the devil's bargain, you just get the price. So you get the extra dice, but then you just take it. So yes, you're now as you drop back into your body and kind of lower to the ground from your kind of advanced state. Luna comes trundling through. Where normally I think deception and perhaps evasion would be your instinct. Now there's almost a sense of play and also competitiveness. Like, fuck these wolves. You're smarter than these wolves. They don't get to win this.
And my legs look a tad more edible.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a good thing you kept those pants on.
He doesn't have pants.
It's just a robe.
Yeah, fair
a train wreck here.
All right.
A moo-moo.
So you have
craving wolf for dinner.
All right. You have a few moments before the wolves descend upon you. What do you do?
Have they fully surrounded us, or is there
They're about halfway.
Gap? They're about halfway. This is too many wolves. We need to go. And I'm backing away with my sword out, kind of facing them. But we
These
need to.
wolves are going to hunt us for sport. Let's give them something to hunt.
You mean like a jar
I
of goat
like
blood, or how many wolves are there? If I'm just taking a cursor, like 12
Too many.
wolves or
There are
some
too
shit?
many wolves.
Yeah.
Which is honestly, I think the T-shirt I want from this campaign. There are too many wolves. There are about 6.
Tom, is there a tree nearby that looks climbable?
Hell yeah, buddy. I got
Oh
you.
man, Orland's booking it for that tree. He's abandoning the flute, but he's keeping that fucking honey pot.
Okay.
He will also yell, "Save Orland! Orland is worm!"
Okay. So, Ryan, I'm going to make you roll to climb this tree.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because I think you're also trying to protect the honey pot.
I bet it's hard to climb with little hoofies.
Yeah, I'll give you the devil's bargain is I'll give you an extra die, but you'll need to succeed in order to not break the honey pot.
Does that include succeed with complications or just succeed?
No. With a 6, you'll make it up without fucking up the honey pot.
No, man. If he doesn't have that honey pot, he's got nothing. He can't
Got
take the bargain.
any other offers?
So you only have a robe. You have goat's feet, and you're holding a honey pot.
Are you gonna climb the tree?
Yeah, I feel like it's not stacked in your favor to begin with. Do I have a devil's bargain for you?
Okay. Go for it.
I was gonna say, you know that wolves don't want honey, so you can leave it at the bottom of the tree to help you climb. But you also now know that Alina knows that they're like mean dickhead wolves, just being jerks.
Oh, I know.
So they may fuck our stuff up.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that.
You can leave the honey pot on the
Dickhead
ground
wolves.
to climb better, but you run the risk. I don't know, Tom. I don't know if it should be a guarantee, but you run the risk of the wolves just coming in and, like, I don't know, pissing in your pot.
Yeah. No, I like that. So basically, with Tyler's bargain, it would be like the complication might be that, or it might be you falling out of the tree, or it might be something else. So with his bargain, you get the extra dice, but you don't have control of the pot for the next little bit.
That's pretty good. I want to throw another one out there, Tom. This is up for you to judge. But
Yeah,
I have
right.
goat legs now, which might mean I'm good at
Ooh.
jumping.
Or
Mountain
kicking.
goat style?
You could
What
kick
if I-
the wolves.
What if I can jump up to a high branch, but no one else can get up the tree?
Protect your queen, bitch. You can kick the wolves.
All right. I think I'm going to take Tyler's as the 3 that we've offered. I think Tyler's is the one I like the most.
So it's up to you to accept it or not, though.
Yeah. So the deal was I can climb, but I have to leave the pot.
The pot, yeah. So basically with mine, you were almost guaranteed that the pot was going to
Yeah,
break.
100%.
Tyler's, there's a chance, but as he points out, they're dickhead wolves, so they might just like piss in it or knock it over for shits and giggles. But you can't be sure.
No, I have to protect this pot. Pot is life. Life is Orlin. Orlin is worm.
Look, we've all been there. Pot can be life.
My white dice is a 6.
So, putting it under your arm like a football, you begin to just like happily prance up the tree branches, using your little goatly hooves, and you can almost hear a beat, like a sick beat, as you do it, and you start to recognize the pan flute song. But what kind of music does Orlin like?
What is he like? I think it's his mother's voice. He can't remember what she looks like, but occasionally he can get like a hint of what she sounds like. So it's like a lullaby.
Cool.
Damn, dude. That's exactly what I was going to choose for my guy's music.
Wait a minute, brother. Okay, wicked. So you make it to the top of the tree, and looking out over kind of the tops of the trees in classic Lost in the Woods way, you can actually see a sort of the soft curling smoke of a campfire a ways away. So you kind of mentally clock that. Meanwhile, back down on the earth, Basso, what did you want to do? I know you're backing away with your sword up.
Yeah. It's too many wolves. This many wolves is too many. Lena, I think I'm ready to bolt, basically. I'm just pausing to see what Alina's situation is, where her
I
head's
mean,
at.
her wolfy thinking is wait till the alpha attacks, bind the alpha, I become the alpha.
Oh my god. I don't think Basso.
No, that
knows
seems pretty
that,
far
yeah.
outside your experience. That's awesome, but also far outside your experience.
What
So,
rituals
I
does
mean,
he
Tyler,
have?
I would say it is entirely fair if you're literally just kind of like walking back with your blade up. If that's kind of the action, I don't like. You don't
Yeah.
have to do a thing. I know based on the way you're just.
It's the blade out for slicing and stabbing, and the scabbard is up defensive to like
For beating and whacking.
eating and whacking, and even like sticking in wolf mouths if they come in for bites
mhm.
and stuff like that.
Yep, sounds good. All right. So Claire, given that you're the one kind of with the plan, why don't you go ahead and see if you can bind them? Can you explain to me what that feels like for Alina? What that is?
Oh, just like the biggest rush of just like I control you, bitch. Like you're mine.
Yep. Yeah. I also like that you're like cradling the camera, so it looks like you've got all of us in a forced choke. All right, so go ahead and roll, please. So obviously, you're one light, you're one dark, and in terms of a devil's bargain, I don't know if I have a devil's bargain for this one. Actually, this is a pretty
Straightforward.
It's a pretty binary thing for me. Ryan, you got one?
I might have one. It
All
might
right,
be too
hit
much,
me.
Tom, but up to you. You can attempt to become the alpha of this pack, but what you don't know is that the alpha of this pack has obligations you will take on.
And we try and get away from the unions for one fucking game. Yeah, I love that. Okay, that's cool.
Okay. Sure, why not?
Cool.
All right, here we go. Okay, that's my highest is a 3 with my light dice. Fuck.
Boy. So you try and bind the wolf to your will, and again, you've this is not your first binding rodeo. But what's odd is when you kind of reach out to overwhelm this creature's sense of self with your own. It's where you expected to find a singular object. It's like you fell into a pool. It's vast. It's almost as though it's the you reach out with your hand and it's like you're trying to wrap your arms around a building. Like it's too much. And you come to realize that perhaps these wolves aren't singular entities, that they are perhaps the will of something larger. So Orlin, from the top of the tree, you kind of yell down that you see fire in the distance, and you leap from branch to branch to keep the honey safe. And Basso and Alina, you take off running after him. Alina, you're shocked to find that you're running up a mountain path. The trees are becoming slightly more sparse. You thought earlier you were really up against it, but you're kind of rapidly out of breath. You can hear the howl of the wolves and perhaps something darker behind you. But Basso, for you, even though you're running for your life, the views you're starting to see from this mountain that you're seemingly climbing are stunning. This is perhaps the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Prior to this, what do you think was Basso's most beautiful moment?
Open sky after leaving prison.
No.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was open, big blue sky.
Great. So yeah, you can see for miles, and the sky is blue. There's not a cloud to be seen. The sun is hanging low. Night is coming, and it's casting beautiful, sort of pink light across the sky, reaching up over you. And even though you need to get this gold for your brother, if these wolves do get you, it seems at least you had this. Orlin, you stumble into a cave. and it's dry.
Tree branch,
Branch.
cave. I believe he would fall to.
Yeah. Well, I think you leap to the next branch, and it's like a ledge. And
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. Great.
you stumble into a cave. It's small, but cozy, remarkably cozy. And you can hear the kind of echoing song of your mother's voice off the walls. You manage to kind of flag down your compatriots who make their way up the rocky pathway. Alina, you are heaving at this point. This is far too much incline, far too quickly. It's exhausting. But the two of you managed to make it into the small space, and it seems you found refuge for the night, which is nice. What in here, Alina, what in here gives you comfort in this cave?
Oof. The walls. Just, yeah.
Is it the idea of being surrounded by something solid rather than kind of exposed?
Yeah. Yeah, essentially. Yeah, something as simple as that. Like, especially because if she just had the experience with the wolves being like this weird one consciousness controlled by something bigger, like that's not something she's encountered before. And so she likes to have her back against a wall.
All right, yeah, cool. I dig that. So based on your earlier failure, your headache has intensified. You've managed to ignore it while you've been out. And it's a distinct heavy throb, and to the point that you're just like, it's exhausting. I think it's nice to be within four walls, but I think, well, the other two might be able to actually kind of take a rest for you. This is more of like a slump against the wall, and try and quiet the pounding in your head. So Orlin and Basso, is there anything the two of you would discuss, or any ritual you think you would do this evening? Again, the wolves you seem to have lost the wolves a ways back. However, now you're up a mountain. There were no mountains anywhere near Greyhaven. So this is some magical fuckery that you are none too pleased with. What do you do before you settle in for the night?
I think Basso would want to talk about that and how weird it is. And he would, Alina was kind of brushed it off, being like, it's a magic forest kind of thing. So I think he's going to talk to Orlin about it, and that's why they're talking. Unless Orlin wants to talk about something else.
No, I think Orlin's always going to follow somebody's lead if they come in with something.
Okay, yeah. So Basso's kind of sits down up against the cave wall, watching the cave mouth because it's a good bottleneck for wolves. And he'll say, there were no mountains here when we came. Do you remember?
True. Basso is wise. Basso sees much.
But the mountain's here now. We're on a mountain in a cave.
Yes, much magic in forest. The queen haunts both world and mind.
Do you know about magic? Do you know, like, how this happens and what's going to happen next?
There are those of us who are small, who are servants, who do what told, who stay out of way. Then there are those with much power raised up over.
He points over to Alina like that.
She gives you a look that's like, yes. Like,
yes, of course. And then he like points, he's like, make nice bed for the executive, and like makes her more comfortable and things like that. And then he goes back and he's like, me not sure.
Oh.
She show much power, rise in sky, go into wolf, but come back, half run away. Baby power just show. Sometimes executives trick and take money and run.
Take money and run?
Some cults build power, and the executive is power. Some cults, executive is like ooh, pick a card. You pick cards, you're like, oh, they no future. And then they collect much money. You have to sell makeup and other things in a way that seems like it helped you, but you just have to keep buying more to hit the bonuses.
No.
They take all money and leave, and you get nothing.
What? Well, okay, two things. One, I don't want that. And two, it's not a cult. This isn't a cult.
This is what I've told you. We're surrounded by magic going to a queen. She, the executive, have magic. Much scare. You strong. Dumb. No offense, Orlin Worm.
No, I know what I'm about.
Me, Worm. Not smart, not strong. Just not die. Maybe both of us need to be friends. Be ready in case executive betray.
I thought we were friends. I thought we were splitting the gold.
Me assume, but everyone hit Orlin, and then Orlin get kicked out of cult and no get gold. Orlin no even have rope. Give small girl. She appreciate, but then used to bully.
Claire, you can listen in on this, but I'm going to need you to roll a check because this fucking headache is killing you.
Yeah.
So, one for kind of your sorceress ability to just kind of like muddle through.
Yeah.
The devil's bargain I'll give you is a guarantee.
Yeah, it's weird when you can't guarantee success, but you have to guarantee consequence.
Yeah.
I've got one.
All right, yeah, go for it, Tyler.
It puts a little bit of work in your lap, Tom. But
So nice hearing one of the dum-dums say, this is going to put some work in your lap, and I'm sorry. That's a first for me. This is so nice.
did I apologize? I don't know if I ever apologized.
Yeah, go for it, brother.
You can zone us out by listening to the sounds that you hear in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this, you can zero in on a sound that is coming from something.
Well, I want to know. But I thought his thing was like I can.
Yeah, to listen in because I can. One of the nice things about videos, I'm literally watching Claire be like, I want in on this, but also headache act.
Misunderstood.
I was gonna say, okay, what if you can listen in
Yeah.
to hear this if you succeed, but the devil's bargain is that the person you don't trust because you think they're subtly manipulating me is Basso. So you think you have a rival mastermind.
Oh.
In Basso.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd buy that.
He's just playing dumb.
I'd buy that for $1.
It's your game, Basso.
All right. That makes things fun. Why not?
Right. So add one extra white.
So I had 2 whites and a black.
Yes, that's correct.
But I'm not doing a ritual though.
No, but you're risking the headache. So here's the thing. It's not only for rituals. It's also for any time you're risking mental or physical danger. And in this case, it's a little bit like if you're suffering a migraine, really the only things you can do are like get yourself to a dark space, get some drugs in you, and then like muddle through. So basically what I'm asking is like, do you try and force your brain through the tiny hole of focus it still has? It'll hurt like hell, but maybe you can listen.
Fair enough. All right. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I got 3 6s.
Whoa, I think the ruling guy takes it, right?
Beast!
Great.
The queen gives you the forest.
Yeah, you're the queen now. So great.
Doesn't it prioritize the
it
black
does.
guy?
It surely does. Yeah.
Do
So
I get a more ruin? Or no?
So normally you have to roll for it. Yeah, let's go ahead and roll. Yeah, roll one of your dark die and see. You got to roll under your current ruin.
All right. Nope.
All right. So gain a point of ruin.
All right.
You'll be able to listen in.
Mm-hmm.
However, Basso seems like a mastermind, which is a bit concerning. But you're able to hear all this, so now you can jump in if you see fit, or you can just know it.
I'm just gonna listen.
Okay, great. So that kind of seed planted in both Basso and Orlin's minds, the three of you fall into an uneasy slumber. Alina, you get the sense that perhaps a conspiracy is beginning to form around you. Basso, you're increasingly concerned that maybe you're in a cult, but also that all sounds terrible. And Orlin, you fall asleep hugging your honey pot, making sure that it'll be safe for the queen in the morning. And the three of you fall into an uneasy slumber. It is interrupted not that long after by the sounds of revelry, feasting, and doom. You are awakened after what, those horrible, and I'm sure you've all had these sleeps, as someone who sleeps terribly, I'm a little too familiar with them, where you close your eyes and you open them and you're like, oh no, I didn't fall asleep. But clearly the light has shifted and it's clearly been a night. You do that. You all drift into an uneasy sleep, and then you're awakened by the sounds of metal clinking and of sort of like laughter and conversation. You can hear kind of, it almost sounds like a massive gathering of people not too far away from the cave. Basso, since you're the one who's kind of dealing with the weirdest amounts of like Cronenbergian bullshit with the geography, while the other two are kind of looking for the sounds of the noise, you're the one who wakes up and notices that the cave entrance is gone. It's now a cave wall, just like the one that Alina was leaning against. And instead, there seems to be a narrow passage stretching out from where the wall previously was, that you'll need to squeeze through, but beyond it, you can hear the sounds of kind of revels and of the forest. I think, again, as a sellsword who's been on the roads for a while, streets, Jesus, you can see from the light that it's dusk, which doesn't make any sense because you went to sleep at night, like you went to sleep at dusk. But it's clearly you've slept a full day. And now it is evening once again. Do you have a reaction? Sorry, I can see you're pondering. Does Basso have a reaction to that?
Just, I think, silently taking it in at this point. Like the hits, they just keep on coming. So it's just a matter of, well, okay, just like going on with the
Truly the Carly Rae Jepsen of horrible magical forests. The hits keep coming. Lena, you wake up to relief, a profound sense of relief. Your headache is gone entirely. You feel like you didn't get any sleep, but the throbbing has ceased. As you kind of run your hands up over your face and towards your hair to kind of like brush it back out of your eyes, you feel slickness on your cheeks. And pulling it away, you see blood. And as you follow the trail of blood up the sides of your face, you find horns.
The fuck?
Are we talking like two devil horns, Tom? Or is it like Darth Maul crown of horns?
No, we're talking like two out of the your temples. In fact, exactly where the throbbing pain was in your head previously, they seem to have burst through the skin.
How is that not the first thing I noticed?
Because you were looking at a wall. She was crouched over. It's a dark cave.
Okay.
But
how big are the horns, Tom?
They're not like think like Mr. Tumnus style horns. They're not like massive. They're like satyr horns. So they're small little almost nubbins, but definitely made of bone. Like they're not like fucking Hellboy in full demon.
So like classic Halloween store devil horns.
Yeah.
Yes, classic Halloween store devil horns.
So I think the two of you boys are gonna fully just be called attention to. You just hear, what the shit? And,
I know, it's the cave. It's closed now.
And then, do they see the horns?
Oh yeah. They're not magic horns. They're you have horns now.
Okay.
Blessing or curse? Blessing or curse from Queen?
You know what? This headache is gone. I have clearly transcended to something higher. And you can tell that she's trying very hard to keep her shit together right now. She is keeping face in front of these two men. So you know what? Orlin, executive says blessing.
Oh, mighty queen blessing us both, goat legs, spook face. Oh, queen.
He's gonna put eyes to Basso.
Oh, yeah.
So, Claire, I was going to make you roll a ruin check based on this, but since you're an escaped cultist, so you're skilled in deception, you can also add 1 light die.
Okay.
I'm going to let you roll both against your ruin.
Right. Oh, okay.
We're going to reverse. This isn't a rule in this game. I'm just adding it now.
So whichever is the lowest, Tom?
Yeah.
They're both below my standard, my ruin. They're
Cool.
both 2.
Yeah. So this is fine. Everything's fine. We're all good here. How are you?
Everything's fine. How did you sleep?
Orlin, you wake up and you're at this point. The furriness has gotten a bit more pronounced. It's you can kind of feel it on your tum tum. It's definitely grown out a bit. So you're it's not, again, you're not full goat, but like you're nice and toasty actually. It's not bad. But you can definitely hear the sound of a large crowd. So as good as it is to know the CEO has a plan, there's definitely like people out there. You spent a lot of time hiding in like sneaking through crevices to hide in places from spooky people. So this is kind of par for the course for you, but you can hear kind of laughter on the air and the sounds of rebels. And you almost feel a sensation of warm, dry fingers in the small of your back, just kind of gently stroking the kind of hair that has sprouted there in sort of soft, rhythmic strokes. When you turn, there's no one there.
Orlin is good boy. Good furry worm, Orlin is. Take
Yes,
the
you
pot. What?
Yes, you are.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, executive. Thank you very much. We should go see crowd. Maybe have money for executive. Much power, much money.
Do you hear crowd, Orlin?
Yes, through crack.
I hear it too.
Boss, so that definitely looks like something you could kind of force your way through. It would be tight for you. I think these two could slip through, but for you, it's going to be a tight squeeze.
Okay. I mean, where else am I going to go? Yeah, Basso's going to try and get through.
Fair enough. Do you go first or do they go first?
I don't think it's a conscious choice on Basso's part. So if we're getting ready to leave, he'll start walking towards the crevice, and if someone gets there first, they can go through first. Like if someone wants to beat Basso to it, he won't stop them, but otherwise he'll just walk in and start trying to squirm his way in.
Sure. So can you go ahead and roll me a check? What skill do you get with sellsword?
Athletics, defense, and weapons, I believe.
Oh, okay. This is definitely an athletics type of deal. All right, so it's a DC 18 check, so you got to roll over 18. Yeah, so take 1 white.
Yeah.
1 dark.
Yeah.
And the devil's bargain I'll give you is, even if you fail, I'll let you get through, but you won't have any control of how you kind of dump out the other end.
That sounds fine. Anyone else want to throw something
in? You make it through, but your sword doesn't.
Oh,
because Basso's too dumb to
turn
it like that.
Well, it's made its choice.
It's in his backhand, so he can't look back to see it. So
you make it through, but you face plant.
Oh. I think I'll take Tom's. Because I think Basso's had this sword long enough that it sometimes feels like an extension of him, that it's not a thinking thing, it's an instinct thing to.
And Claire's may well happen to you when you come out the other end.
Yes, and I'm thinking Claire's is kind of a potential bundle with Tom's.
Yep. It's the DLC season pass. You just have to pay $80 more.
Perfect. All right, so I'll roll that 2 white die and 1 ruin die. Okay. Ooh, just made it. That's a 5 on the ruin die and a 6 on my highest white die.
You cartwheel your way through. You manage to wiggle your way through, and you stumble out into, for the lack of better term, kind of like a cool hipster backyard barbecue. So there's like you stumble into a large glade where there's a massive wooden table set up, overflowing with food. There are lanterns hanging in the trees. Fireflies seem to almost be rhythmically moving to the sound of the song that's been haunting you as you made your way through the forest. And there are people. There are so many people. You see tall, elegant dryads sort of moving around with grace and fluidity of a leaf on the wind. You see people dressed in finery whose ears seem to be pointed, whose features seem just a little vulpine. There's just a hint of wolf in their features, who seem to smile at you knowingly. You see a couple of fawns chasing each other around a tree, doing that like, I'm chasing you, oh no, I've got the upper hand, kind of thing. But it seems a massive feast has been arrayed. And as you kind of awkwardly stumble into the center of this glade, you see a beautiful elven man who's just wearing his like just classic like shirt unbuttoned like to his navel, ripped in a way that shows he doesn't work on it. He's just like that. And a carefree smile, just not a care in the world. And for someone who carries so many cares on your shoulders, a real, in a lot of ways, a relief. And I think perhaps even to some extent, almost a jealousy sweeps over you of someone who could be this at ease with themselves in the world. And he laughs and he says, finally, our guest of honor has arrived.
Who, me?
Yes, of course, you. Pardon me. And he kind of turns around. And he's looking around for someone. He says, sister, our guest has arrived. And a short, very kind of muscular woman with similarly beautiful features comes over. And you can tell that there's a strength in the way she moves that's in a way also comforting to you, but in the way that he kind of evokes the sense of carelessness and freedom. She evokes kind of a sense of strength and comfort, like a rock you could hold on to if a wave hit you. Like and no less happy, no less light, but there's a solidness to her that is lacking in him. And she throws open her arms and she says, welcome. Oh, you're finally here. And she kind of reaches up. He's like tall elf. She's like short dwarf.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they start like ushering you towards the table.
Yeah, I'm confused, but also still thinking about things from like last night. So I'll say, hey, I'm Basso.
Basso, perfect name for a perfect man.
Oh, thank you. What are your names?
Oh, my name is Galila. And my brother here, his name is Father. Not Father, Father. There's a V in it. It's I know it's confusing, but what can I say? Like Father. Like the bean. But elegant, like an elegant version of the bean.
Can I ask you to do me a favor?
Well, yes, of course, you're our guest of honor.
Oh, I have questions about that, but I have 2 friends who are probably going to come out of the crack in the cave soon, and I want you to just kind of like look at us and see how we are, and then could you tell me if I'm in a cult later? Because I'm having a hard
Sorry,
time.
a cult? And
Yeah.
Cleela goes, Fava, remember when you were trying to sell us those cosmetics and we didn't want any? He goes,
Yes, that, I don't want that.
Oh, look, it happens to the best of us, dear boss. So I will keep my eyes and ears open. We shall not abide being in a cult unless we choose to be.
Yeah.
This time.
Yeah.
And he looks a little abashedly at Gleela, who sighs and clearly holds up the 2 bracelets she bought from him, and she's like, I was his best customer. Anyway, according to my list here, we are in fact waiting on 2 more guests of honor, so
oh, they must be my friends.
I mean, I hope so. Is one of them a goat herd?
A goat herd?
Yeah, like someone who herds goats.
No. One of them is working on being a goat.
You know what? Close enough. And Fava's like, it matters not. Everyone could herd goats in their hearts. Come, let's get your friends in here. Are they large and well structured like you? Or are they going to have difficulty making it out here? Shall we put together a team?
Well, they're all smaller than me, so they should come through. Honestly, it's been a weirdly long amount of time. I'm starting to wonder if they ditched me.
Back to the cave. What have you guys been doing in this cave? Did you follow directly after him?
No, I think I want to have a brief moment with Orlin, and just be like, so Orlin, before we go in, perhaps this is when we find treasure and you get all of the treasure.
No, Orlin is worm. Orlin would never steal from executive. Orlin lays down on the floor and covers his head. No hit.
And I'm gonna put my fingers under his chin and just very softly raise him up.
He'll stand nervously, looking vaguely like a Muppet.
Orlin, you have lived a hard life, yes?
Orlin has lived life Orlin deserved.
No, you deserve better.
But Orlin is worm.
You are not worm. You are man. You are man. You deserve good life. With me, you will get that. You will get treasure. You will get title. You never get hit. You understand?
No, but interest.
All I ask is that when all of this is done, perhaps you follow with me.
I stay. I become... Normally, all cult only executive and worm. What between executive and worm?
Friend, shall we say, Orlin?
Oh. Executive want friend with Orlin?
Yes.
This mean great deal. Seal with blood. And Orlin cuts his hand and he holds out the bleeding palm. Friend?
And she's gonna kind of just take her hand and just hold his hand in both of hers.
Oh, that nice, but you do wrong. And Orlin just reaches up and slashes the bottom of her palm and then smushes their blood together. He's like, now, friend, share.
And she's just gonna swallow it and just be like, Orlin.
Yeah?
First rule of being friends.
Mm-hmm.
Never touch me with knife again.
Oh. Okay.
Well,
and
it only took...
and I just pet her cheek.
I was going to say, it only took 3 hours, but we managed to accidentally recreate Dumbcraft. All right, so Red and Addie, you make your way out of the cave. And find old man Richter just having a time. So you make your way out of the cave, and you see just 2 smiling people waiting for you, holding leis up expectantly, like you just arrived off an airplane in Hawaii. And it's Gleela and Fava, and they just immediately toss them over your heads and are like, other special guests.
Orlin ducks out of the way going, you dropped flour. Oh, no. Orlin will clean. He tries to pick it up and clean it up and give it back to them.
Fava's like, that's very kind of you, friend Orlin. but they are Orlin's flowers. So you may do with them what you see fit. If you'd like to clean them, you may clean them. If you'd like to wear them, you may wear them. But they are for you because you are our special treasured guest.
You say Orlin, you friend?
Oh, yes. Because after all, we are not CEOs, nor are we worms. So what else is there but friendship?
Interesting.
Or how are you expecting us?
And Glila comes over and she's like, well, we didn't just make this feast for fun. There's easier meals like a peanut butter and jam we could just do. So there's that. B, we talked to your buddy Basso, who is very concerned about you guys not showing up and stuff, but like, I'm glad you did. And she gestures to Basso. Basso, you're now seated at this table. You can't really remember how or why that happened.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite food?
Basso's favorite food is a whole cooked chicken.
There is like a platter of whole cooked chickens.
Oh man!
Sitting like
huge
within
flagons of mead.
Yep. You reach for the chickens and suddenly you knock over a flagon of mead and you realize there's a bunch of those stacked there too. It's so weird because when you came out you didn't see them, but now that you want them, they just happen to be there.
That's so convenient because those are his two favorite things, and he has two hands, so it's like they were made for each other. And it's just yeah,
excellent. They are the most like the smell is better than any food you've ever smelled. It's invariably what ends up happening when like if you I don't normally like people like apartments cooking is terrible. I have someone near me who cooks incredibly well because I just always smell like garlic and spice on the air and I'm just like, oh, Tommy one. So it's like watching a cooking show being like, I wish I could eat that, but you are. So every time you've been like, I wish there's donkey sauce on this. Boom, donkey sauce. You're just getting the full culinary experience, and it's everything you could hope for. This is like the platonic ideal of what these things could be. And then you see your friends come stumbling out of the cave and be greeted by your hosts. They are brought over towards you, and you notice suddenly that you thought you were at the head of the table, but there seems to be room for two more here. It's very strange. And Alina and Orlin, you're kind of like half guided, half pushed into these chairs. You're staring at a long, massive feast table. You can see all these kind of lords and ladies of the Fae wandering around. They all seem like to nod deferently at you. One of the fawns is like giving Alina eyes because of the horns. The other one's giving Orlin eyes because of the legs. You can hear them joking to each other, and like even from this distance, you can tell they're kind of being like, "Well, I mean, half of one and half of the other. You basically got a cool, hot person." And you also see your favorite meals there. Alina, what is the most welcoming thing about this glade? There's something that evokes a weird sense of home in you, and again, as someone who I think seeks power, moments of like softness and home are odd.
I mean, I think the welcoming part of this would be the idea that everybody is looking at her with like awe and deference.
Right. Yeah. Great. This is what you wanted from the cult, right?
What I wanted. Now, here's where I ask, like, Claire goes, "Fuck no, no one eat this food. It's the day."
That's because Claire's ruin is at 0, but Alina's ruin is at 4.
Ah, okay.
So you don't need to eat the food. Glila and Fava are pushing this food pretty hard.
Yeah.
What is Alina's favorite food?
Oh, boy.
I can get back to you because Ryan, I'm going to ask you the same thing.
I think some fancy dessert.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, I think something with like whipped cream, strawberries, like really decadent chocolate, like something really like fancy and delicious.
Kind of like a parfait or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to say is they're carrying those around, but unlike what Basso found when he just reached for them and they were magically there, You can see them being carried, but because you're resisting it, they aren't on the table. They're instead constant, like, you know, if you're like looking across a restaurant, you see something real nice being carried by, and you're like, oh shit, I should have ordered that. It's that. So you're being tantalized, but they aren't physically in front of you. You're not quite sure what would happen if you reached out. Ryan, I don't imagine Orlin allows himself to have favorite anythings.
Correct.
So what is appealing about this whole scenario to him? Or is there something about his hosts that he wishes was more like him? Or rather, is there something about his host that he wishes he had?
So I think he would, because he's had to serve so many shitty people and been treated so poorly, that like his place in a feast where he is happiest is like probably just to the right of Basso, and he just gets to like smell the food before it's eaten. Like he doesn't actually get to eat any of it.
Yep.
There's some juicy chicken bones falling down to that.
Yeah,
onto the ground if you're up for that.
Make yourself a fine stew.
Desperately wants to, but he is aware that he will be hit. Like he's just Pavlovian response of like, no, you get to smell my garbage, and that's all you get.
Oh, you don't even get the scraps.
Yeah, so he's there, but I think his thing is this is clearly a trap, but he's seeing all the smarter people fall for it, because I think he assumes that everyone in this room except the two hosts fell for it. So like Basso fell for it and the executive fell for it, but also those pretty goat people. So whoever's running this trap is pretty smart. So if he plays along, maybe he can join them and then they can take him to the queen.
Okay, cool. I like that a lot. So you're keeping an
thought process, and I like it.
Yeah, you're keeping an eye on everyone. And then suddenly Galila is at your side. And she's eyeing the honey pot, and she says, we spared no expense on this feast, and it would seem that your CEO friend Basso here is quite enjoying the fruits of our labor. It seems awful rude to not share.
Not enough honey for everyone in room. Not enough, can't share. So sorry.
And she says, "Now that's a shame. Maybe there's not enough chicken for your buddy Basso here either." And Basso, you go to take a big bite of chicken, and you bite your hand.
Oh.
And the chicken is gone, and you're starving. It feels like you haven't eaten in weeks.
Oh. And I stand up out of my seat to like look down the lengths of the table. Is there any food?
Yeah, there's a ton of food.
I gotta get some of it. I gotta get something in my stomach right now.
So you start making your way down the table, reaching for it, and it always just like slips out of your hand. It's just slightly out of reach. It's weird. You overreach when you're going for things. Can you go ahead and roll me a ruin check, please?
That's a 4, and my current ruin's 2, so now it's 3.
Oof.
Bangarang, buddy. The food is just out of reach constantly. Galila maintains strict eye contact with Orlin as you suffer.
Am I beside Orlin?
Yep. No, Basso's between the two of you. But now Basso's like running down the table. Yeah.
Yeah. May I ask you a question?
Was that okay? I thought that was full on red accent for a second.
No.
I told you, 3 hours. We got there.
Regions of the world. What?
Hi, it's me, Kenneth Knott. Buy some real estate. Sorry, Claire, who are you asking?
Sorry, the woman.
Yeah, the dwarf, Galila. Yeah.
Yeah. May I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Why are you manipulating us like this?
Manipulating? I mean, it seems to me you all stumbled out of a cave and we gave you some food and some comfort.
You were expecting us.
Yeah, you're guests of honor.
Yes, guests of honor should not have to buy their way into eating food.
I mean, no one said anything about buying. We just said something about sharing. Seems like a common, decent thing to do, particularly after our friends. And she points to a couple of the lords and ladies who have been kind of just like just full on shit eater grins at you this whole time, especially after they let you go up the mountain. They're much faster than you. You got to know that.
And she kind of like whips her head and just kind of like at them.
Orlin is already like backing into a corner to try to be small and protect his honeypot.
Orlin, you bump up against a carving, a beautiful ornate wooden carving that is a sort of swirl of what seem to be kind of like longish arms, and this seems to be a central thing. And it's so familiar. As you look at it, you have no idea what an octopus is, but you realize it's the same as the icon that Alina's been carrying around.
Alina. Just pointing over his shoulder.
Yes, my friend.
Alina, you turn and see something that to this point in your life you'd only dreamed of. It was what, of all the iconography of your cult, this was kind of the thing you cared the most about. Okay. And it was the piece you never got. If you were a franchisee opening a McDonald's, these were your golden arches, and you just never quite got there. So you took the piece you could. It's not quite the same. It's not like exactly what you'd imagined, but the craftsmanship is beautiful. And you feel an overwhelming desire to possess this. Fava sees you.
I'm so sorry. It's a wooden
octopus carving. So it's the same as your holy icon, but like carved out into a full sort of 3-dimensional. Like I guess in Christian iconography, it'd be like if you wore just a plain crucifix and then you saw like a fully sculpted, like Jesus on the cross type of situation.
Okay.
And Fava goes, does that piece catch your fancy? It's a mere bauble compared to what the Queen can offer, of course. But would you like it? I know you are hesitant to eat the parfait, and I understand. Parfaits can really go any number of ways. But would you like this? This was crafted by one of the dryads.
It is beautiful. May I feel like on her face it's like she's warring against herself. And probably losing, question mark?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, okay. May I touch it?
You may have it. In fact, I insist. You are our guest after all, and as I said, the dryads have nothing but time on their hands. All we ask is a small boon in return. What will you give us for it?
What would you like?
Well, what matters to you? It would seem that this matters quite a deal. So, what is something of equal value you could give us? Your Muppet song is nice, but unfortunately not of equal value. Phenomena. That's a song we sing here. You may have heard it on the wind.
I have jar of very valuable blood.
Oh.
Yes, it comes from Mountain Virgin.
Oh. Well, there are many uses for that.
Yes, 2 cities over.
Friend,
wait, our cities...
Friend Alina, you trade power for statue? This no seem like self-interest. They seem like they market to you.
Wait, I tell you what. You tell me what a city is, and I'll let you have it. We don't get out much here. It seems delightful. What is a city?
It is like this place, but much, much bigger.
But wait, but only your mortal kind of people live there?
Yes.
Leela's like, oh wow, I didn't believe the rumors. That's fucked up. Oh, and you live there in these. You just live near each other and just go about your mortal things.
Yes.
All right. Well, what do you do? What's a day? What's it that you do?
And Orlin's going to approach and like tug her sleeve and try to get her attention so he can whisper.
Yes. What do you want?
Alina, they are Orlin.
Perfect angle for Alina to be looking down at Orlin. I just realized.
They are
Claire. Your shot is like
your angle is from above where it's shot. And
what do you want?
Alina, they are Orlining you.
What
They
does
treat
that
you
mean?
like worm. They make fun. Ask question. No, really want answer. Fool you. Bad offer. You end up with nothing. Then you don't even have pot. Do you want to be Orlin?
Can I take that, Tom? Can I take that and like run with it?
Roll. I'll let you roll a check because he gave you that.
Oh, okay.
No devil's bargain, just pure. Well, I mean, unless anyone else wants to offer one, but I'd say just a pure. Because you're trained in deception, him tapping that, you're like, oh fuck, this does feel like something I've done before.
Light and dark.
Yeah. So just the two. Tyler, you look like you might have something.
Just that Orlin is a worm to you. And no, okay.
No.
I misread how much value you placed in Orlin.
As in like I value him as much as a worm, but I don't have to act like it, kind of thing.
In that you are like you need a follower for your cult, but
that's already how I view him.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking in terms of like cult hierarchy. Who is he to be giving you advice?
I see.
So here's the devil's bargain is you can get an extra die, but you have to punish me for stepping above my station.
Yes. Yeah, that one.
Oh, I see. I don't think I'd take it.
Oh, damn.
I don't think I'd take it because I'm still trying to win him over from you. No, but that's what her mind is doing, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm still like, you're the enemy and you're trying to manipulate him. So, like, I got to get him on my side 1,000%.
Yeah, you got the angle while he's scrambling for food he can't reach.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna roll regular. 2 5s.
Oh, so it's the same on both.
Hey, Claire, go ahead and roll a dark die. Try and get under your current ruin.
I equaled it.
No, I know. Roll. Oh, wait, on your second roll?
Yeah, 3 and 3.
I think you need to get lower. Let me double check here.
That makes sense.
Full or higher. Where's? Yeah, I mean we're coming up on the end of the game. Add 1 point of ruin.
Ruin.
So you.
So I fail that.
But you still rolled a 5. So you succeed at stopping to tell the story. And Gleela and Fava just like grin at you, and you can suddenly tell that the entire like glade has gone quiet. And then in a way that kind of turns your stomach, but also that you can't quite resist. When he realizes you're not going to continue, Fava just nudges the octopus to you with his foot. And just smiles at you and says, well earned.
I call bullshit.
I mean, you could leave it. It really makes no difference to me. We got our delightful story.
Good. We want leave. We like go outside now. Bye.
Excellent. Well, I suppose if you've eaten your fill, and they looked at Basso. Basso, you're now standing on an empty table. The food having evaporated.
The only real food that Basso knows about is the goat blood that we brought in here. So he's coming. He's just starving to death. He's just running down the length of the table straight for Alina to get his hands on that jar of goat's blood.
Him.
He needs it.
All right. So Claire, go ahead and roll. That'll be 1 light die, 1 dark die.
All right.
Yeah, go.
Oh yeah, no, I lost that. 5 and 6.
Shit.
And which one was the 6?
Oh, the 6 was the dark dice.
So Claire, you're at ruin 5?
Ruin 6. Oh, sorry. Oh, so I lost, so I get a ruin?
No. So what ruin level are you? You're at 4 right now?
How many ruins do you have right now?
4.
Oh, okay. So roll a ruin check. So roll your dark die, and you have to get under a 4.
Yup.
Right now you're at Rune 5. So if you'll remember, you can actually now start taking active steps to reduce your own ruin by acting in the best interests of the forest. So look for ways to do that.
So as he's running towards me, I am going to pick up the first food item that I can and throw it at his mouth.
Cool. Yeah, you can definitely still see food on the table. Basso, it's just you who's got an empty thing.
Cupcake.
Great. So go ahead and no, actually, yeah. So you throw the cake. Basso, it hits you directly in the mouth. Suddenly you're chewing it. It's delicious. You fall to your knees, your mouth full of food. But it is fairy food, so I need you to roll me a ruin check.
That's a match. So I believe I take another point of ruin.
You do.
Okay, I'm at 4.
You finish the cake, and you pat yourself down. You feel for the apple. You begin to munch into the apple.
Yeah.
And you feel glutted and content. So much so that there's a desire to just lay down your sword. You don't, because you're at 4, not 5. But you just, who needs that? Life's so good.
I'm like full now?
Yeah, you're full, you're content, you're jolly, you're just there. There's a sense of kind of like ease and languidness.
I think the stress of going from starving to full, or just the stress of starving, I need a nap. I need to catch some Z's. So I'm just gonna fall flat on my back on the table and then
go ahead and roll me a ruin check, please.
That's a 3. That's under.
All right. You fall asleep, but you're quickly shaken awake by Alina and Orlin, who are both actively ready to get you out of here. Claire, because you worked on behalf of the forest, you can go ahead and roll a light die. You're going to try and get, I believe, equal or
less, I think it is.
Equal or less, yes, than your ruin check.
Yep.
Okay, so you can reduce your ruin by 1.
Great.
Having shaken Basso awake, Glila and Fava lead you to the edge of the clearing, and you can see that there's kind of a just a small kind of indent, almost like it. There's a little valley, and at the far end you can see a shimmering palace, made of wood and seemingly glass that twinkles. And they say, the queen awaits you. You must merely pass the domain of the Horned Knight. Make it past him, and you shall be fine. Of course, if you were to catch him, he might grant you a boon. But I'll leave that up to you. So the 3 of you are pushed out onto the path. So just for the sake of time.
Glila.
Hey, what?
Was I in a cult?
Nah. But you will be.
What? And the doors close.
Yeah, exactly. So for the sake of time, I'm going to describe the scenario, and then I need you guys to make the choice as to whether you're going to try and trap the Horned Knight or flee the Horned Knight.
Right.
And then you can tell me how you want to do that. But basically, as you begin to run down this path, you can hear just kind of like gentle rhythmic footsteps kind of like prancing along beside you, and when you look, you just see a massive bulk of muscle and fur and antlers and a sickening yellow grin, and you can see essentially just in glimpses a massive form that seems just like somewhere between a almost like from the shoulders looks like a gorilla, but with the speed is almost prancing on deer's legs. You can smell a musk kind of overwhelming you, and this creature is both beautiful and horrible, and every turn you take you can tell that he is stalking you. There is a party of small twisted goblins pulling through The brush just kind of looking at you and laughing. You can hear the barking of hounds, and you can't quite tell whether it's day or night anymore. What do you attempt to do?
Oh, I am running. If I can't control like wolves, there's no way I'm gonna try to contain this dude.
I just want to see what my rituals can do.
Yeah, fair. Oh yeah, I could try to inhabit him. I don't know. What are you thinking, Tyler?
I would like to use the ritual summon to draw a known spirit or person to me.
Okay.
And I would like the goat herder and all of his goats.
All right, man. Go ahead and roll. I love that. That's wild.
So that's just a good one and a bad one.
Yep.
Okay. And I'll roll if no one has any devil's
and if you
bargains.
want a devil's bargain,
Hit me.
you can get an extra die, but the cool goat was too cool to come.
I love that. Yeah, I'll take that.
Cool goats, cool.
Jerry just didn't want to show.
It'd be
Yeah.
so bad.
Ooh, double sixes on my good dice. Just a 3 on the
well,
ruined die.
Yep.
All right, brother. So as the three of you sprint madcap, Laura Dern running through the jungle in Jurassic Park style, from this creature, you think hard about Milar and his goats and
Milar,
what they could possibly do, and then suddenly in a swirl of mist, they appear, and as you rush past them, the goats are like, "Rah!" And Milar's like, "Oh, hey guys!" And you book it past him, and Basso, you have just one sort of like, it's a classic like Lot and his wife thing, where you just like look over your shoulder to see him waving in slow motion as the horned knight leaps out of the trees, just a massive sort of like both appalling and somehow incredibly attractive creature that fills you with lust and revulsion and fear and desire, leaps out, grabs Milar into a hug, and just holds him up like Dirty Dancing style. And Milar, for a second, rapture runs over his features. He begins to sob because that's his thing. And you can see the Horned Knight kind of bring him down and almost cradle him in his arms and look at him with just complete and utter contentment and joy. And then he bites off Milar's face.
Oh, Milar!
Continue to run as the goblins, the wolves, and several of the party guests step out of the trees and begin to feast upon Milar and his herd. The queen awaits. You arrive at a palace that reeks of cold. The closer you get, you can feel it on your skin. And what you perceived as glass, you now recognize to be ice. The trees seem to glitter with it as you approach up the path. And as you hear the tortured screams of the goats and Milar behind you, a massive set of ice doors gradually swing open to greet you. Inside, there seems to almost be a secondary forest, one that is glimmering with gold. There are trees the likes of which you've never seen. Think like if Disney did a weird CGI remake of Dr. Seuss in like the Lion King style. So everything looks very fantastical, but also very real. Donald Glover voices 3 of the trees. The rest are the original cast for some reason. I don't know why. But it's stunning, and you can see all manner of creatures that kind of bend and stretch your brain. Some seem to be engaged in contests and games. Others seem to be lounging. There's a sort of a central moat around a massive throne that looks to be of ancient, gnarled, petrified vines. And sitting in the midst of it is the Forest Queen. The Forest Queen her features are very sharp. Everything about her is angular. She seems almost to be made of ancient wood, and yet at the same time moves with a liquid grace, as though she were made of water. If Hollywood were casting it, they would cast Michelle Pfeiffer twice. She gazes down upon you with some degree of surprise, actually, as she sort of beholds the three of you, and with a voice that sounds like that breeze blowing through sort of the wispy branches of a willow tree that you can just kind of barely hear. She just says, 3. After all this time, 3. Welcome. And as she says this, you can see Basso out of the corner of your eye, because of course you've kind of got your like loot radar on, a glimmer of gold amidst the trees. And you start to wonder how much of this is real, how much of what you're seeing is real after all of the illusions. But it's like always just out of the corner of your eye. You can't quite catch it, but it looks almost like a dragon's hoard just beyond this sort of small glade that seems to exist within this palace. Everyone goes silent, and they look to the three of you, and she smiles and asks, what brings you to my realm? What made you drive past the horned night to abandon the feast? Why are you here?
The treasure. We all want the treasure.
The treasure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all agreed.
I shall kneel. I'll kneel.
Yep.
Very, very traditionally, and just say, I have come here with singular purpose, my queen.
Go on.
I wish to join your ranks.
So she kind of like gives you an appraising look, very Meryl Streep looking at Anne Hathaway in The Devil Wears Prada, being like, I don't know. And Orlin.
I think Orlin, having seen that bowing is something that even like smart, powerful people do, will immediately lay down full stretch on the ground with the honey pot towards her and just go, I am Orlin. I am Worm. I bring you honey, queen.
Vines slither out of the ground, grasp the honey, and kind of like in sort of like classic like poison ivy style, pull it up above her, and she just lets one drop hit the tip of her tongue, and kind of like smiles and looks directly at you, Alina, and says, this is a tremendous gift, worthy of someone seeking to join my ranks, and yet you bring me what? Someone who couldn't even dominate a wolf? Why you over him?
I bring you the follower who brings you the honeypot. He would not be here if it weren't for me.
She looks you directly in the eye, Orlin, and says, I've seen your dreams. Did she truly bring you to me, or did you come of your own volition?
She told me she won't kill you, and then said she my friend to fool me, and now me here just want Queen to make dreams stop. And instead everyone trick Orlin. Everyone think he Worm promised friend. I know fake food, fake friend.
Basso, she looks to you and she looks back to Orlin and she says, is he your friend?
I'm confused because I thought we were getting treasure.
I mean,
everyone else wants to like give you things, but isn't it like we got here so we get the treasure?
I mean, that is an interesting point. You did overcome many challenges along the way. However, did you pass that goat herd?
He kind of just let us go. He wanted help finding his cool goat.
And that's why he's not here. There's no such thing as a cool goat. Now, sheep.
Well, I mean, did you
Sheep
see
are
this
badass.
goat though? This goat parties apparently.
Well, agree to disagree, I suppose. So, Basso, I'm happy to give you the treasure you so desire.
Yeah.
But why? Do you even remember why you want it anymore? Or do you just want the treasure?
Well, I have to give.
If you want to remember why, I'm going to
Yeah.
need you to roll in that ruinometer.
I do want to remember why. I rolled over. I'm at 5 on my ruin countdown.
I mean, you know you want that treasure because it'd be real nice to have that treasure.
Yeah.
Claire,
So
did you have something, or was that a reaction? I'm sorry, I'm trying to like track all the different faces. But...
Oh no, I was just reacting to him failing miserably.
Cool.
I don't remember why. I know I need the treasure. The treasure's important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I understand. Well, I'll tell you what. It seems like I have a lot of treasure, but really in this economy, one must be frugal. I'm happy to bestow my gifts upon one of you, but the real question is just who's worthy, really. I mean, this one has brought me, and she points at Orlin, she's like, this one has brought me nectar harvested from the back-breaking labor of an old woman he left to die. That's a pretty good gift around these parts. But Basso, there's something about the honesty with which you seek power that I just really respect. And you, Alina, seem a liar. So which of you is truly worthy? Perhaps you can prove it. Basso, kill these two and I'll give you the gold. Very easy. Alina, if you're truly as powerful as you say, you should surely be able to dispatch these two with your sorceress gifts, no? And Orlin, does a worm not survive?
I cast a ritual.
I'm gonna at that split second, I'm going to try to bind Basso.
And
Great. I'm just gonna back the fuck away.
Okay. Basso, what do you do?
I want to use my other ritual, channel, and channel. I'm going to read this specifically so I know what it is. Allow a spirit to act through me, and I would like to invite the wolf spirits in, the ones that Alina couldn't best.
All right. And Alina, what do you cast?
Bind on him.
Okay. This game isn't built for pose checks, but let's party. Go ahead and roll both of them. My devil's bargain is, Orlin, do you help either or neither? It seems like based on what you said, probably neither, but I want to give you the option. If you want to help one of them, they get an additional white dice.
I would help Basso because I haven't seen him express any crazy power. I've seen her crackle lightning and fly in the sky. And Orlin is a survivor, which means he is not actually that moral at the core of him.
Rail!
I promise to be friends with everyone.
Light them up. Let's see, roll them bones.
Am I getting the advantage?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is giving you the devil's bargain is who he chooses to back.
I also think Orlin will yell, I help you, friend, and try to do this in a way that looks like he's trying to help them both.
It's clear that you didn't.
I failed.
That's fine.
I rolled my highest was my light dice, which was 3.
Okay.
I got a 5 as my highest.
So
The dark or light?
The light, excuse me.
So you reach out,
of some kind.
Alina, you reach out to bind Basso, and you find he's becoming full of these wolf spirits, and yet again you are kind of horrified by the weight and size and magnitude of these. Unfortunately, Tyler, by rolling under a 6, there's a consequence.
Mm-hmm.
Basso's a sweet man who had a noble objective, but he's just welcomed in the spirits of wild game hunting monsters. Go ahead and roll me that ruin dice and roll real good.
I did not. I matched my 5, so that's 6.
Shit.
Baby.
No.
You feel the wolf spirits begin to fill you, and you feel strength and power and freedom. And as Alina looks on in horror, failing to bind you, you howl to the moon, full of freedom. And then you feel almost crowded. It's like there's bodies pushing up against you, and you suddenly start to slip down as you're howling up at the moon. You hear louder voices that are laughing, and as your body strikes a sort of a dramatic pose, you feel yourself forced further and further down until there's nothing but the wolves. Alina, you reach out with your force choke hand, and you see the vulpine eyes you saw staring at you at the party glance at you, spread into a grin, and then leap at you. And with a strength you didn't know possible, you feel Basso tear out your throat. Orlin, you watch as Basso proceeds to rip Alina to shreds with his teeth and his fingernails, howling and shrieking at the moon. And perhaps most alarmingly of all, you see him tear the sigil that she valued so mightily off and discard it like waste. You see it skitter and come to a halt amidst a pile of other such trinkets hidden between the trees. And when he's done, with one final howl, he stalks off into the night on all fours. Your queen looks down at you and smiles and says, "Tell me, Orlin, why are you worthy?"
Because a worm not die.
Indeed. And as you curl up at her feet, trying to ignore the sounds of a massive bacchanalia of horrors around you, you close your eyes and dream of the forest.
A worm not die.
And that is how Orlin became part of the throne of the Forest Queen. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been Trophy Dark! So thanks for playing, everybody. That was super fun. What a satisfying ending we got to.
That was great.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of the episode. We do, however, have a tradition here on Dum Dums and Dice where we take a quick second to acknowledge everyone's awesomeness. Basically, at the end of like a marathon of Dum Dums, what we tend to do is go around to each person, and basically we say our favorite moment for each other person at the table. So it's just kind of a fun way to celebrate the adventure we just all went on, and those like cool little weird moments that I feel like we always have, where someone's like, "Oh man, it was this one beat for me that really nailed the whole thing." I
got a random idea, Tom. If we want to keep these short and sweet, but we can open this up because we never get to have this conversation with people who've been here the whole time. So
that is also true.
If the rest of the gang would like to come off mute, we could just choose a person and then we could all go.
Yeah, let's do that.
Do it.
Well, I have to do that in Zoom because it gets complicated in Discord. But if anybody else wants to demute themselves in Zoom,
just say good night to Megan.
Okay, yeah, you do that like a good human,
like a good husband. No.
All right. Well, we'll see if people come off and want to tag in because they can if they can. And then we always do one for Tom as well because Tom
also read highlights from things. Cool. Great.
Cool. All right. So do we want to start with, why don't we start with Claire so that she can see what we're doing rather than just getting thrown in with a new idea and no support?
Yeah, totally. I really liked the way you really leaned into like the conniving and manipulative nature of Alina. It made for so much fun like gameplay, and like when you're at a table in like Dungeons and Dragons, just as an example, when you're all like heroes and you're all like super powerful and stuff like that, usually someone who at the table talks about their secret plan to screw people over or grab power for themselves usually ends up, they put the kibosh on it pretty quick just because everyone is at the table hearing it and they're just like, well, my hero character is too selfless or whatever kind of thing. And it was just nice to have a game setting that allowed that kind of play to like really like advance you in terms of like got you to your goals. And it was and it's fun to have that kind of play actually pay off instead of kind of getting nipped in the bud. So I really
nice.
liked. Yeah.
Thank you. And I have to say, I realize that I'm stepping in here, but like kudos to you guys, because the characters that I normally play in my RPGs are manipulative assholes.
Do you find that you don't get very far with that? Like, do people end up?
No, but that's the thing.
Okay.
I do, because I generally play longer term things. So it's just kind of finding a way of well, we got to make this work. So how are we dealing with this? So that worked very well. So yeah, kudos to you guys.
Tom, you want to jump in, or should I go?
Yeah, I'll echo Tyler's sentiment on that entirely. What's so interesting to me about any game like this, where you're dealing with fate and hubris, where it's like things are going to go badly for these folks, it's always lovely to see a character who's got naked ambition. Because I think the inclination is always to go with the Gil from The Simpsons being like, oh, I didn't want to, but I guess I have to be here and I hate it. And having a driving, motivating reason to be like, no, I'm going to take over the war, the forest, is amazing. And I also love in any sort of game like this where there's mounting odds against you, someone who is you're basically Lex Luthor dealing with Superman, which sucks because everywhere else you're Superman. And so watching that feeling of and it was weird because it was all dice. It was your choices were all bang on, but the dice fucked you so often with powers.
Yes, I wanted to see what binding actually looked like.
Well, that's just
we tried 3 times.
But watching a Jedi be like, "Fuck you, bud, I got this." Foom. Oh wait, what? He's awesome. That's such a fun way to play it, and so I love that. Also, just as a complete side note, Goat's Blood. Just a lovely ask of a random character you've just met to be like, I'm gonna need this act of violence, and it set a really great tone. It set a perfect Alina's gonna get hers, and also that was all lovely. Also, your reaction to the horns was great. I was so excited to get to play that beat, and you did it wonderfully. So thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. That's so nice. Huh. I'm really sorry. What?
Oh no, go for it. What if you want to respond, go for it.
Oh no! I was gonna start mine, but I realized that you didn't talk, and so I didn't get to myself.
Yeah, no. So my thing is, I like characters that play to the top of the intelligence, where you come in and you're like, I'm going to be manipulative, but I'm also going to be smart, and I'm going to be ambitious. And I feel like there are 2 ways to play those characters when they start failing constantly, which is either I'm going to play this for laughs, or I'm going to have them sulk, or there are a lot of typical choices. And what I really liked is you're nope, this is a smart, ambitious character. Here is the next best plan. The immediate turnaround time from evil scheme to evil scheme was instantaneous and never played as something that was hard for Alina. She was just nope, that fucked up. Okay, next plan. You're going to kick him to death. Nope, you ran away. Okay, it's you and me. And then gets there, it's I don't like this fucking smart guy. Okay, you and I are a team now. It's delightful with the speed and then the emotional commitment to every one of those schemes, which is how could this go wrong? I've invested so much in this personal relationship that was solely based on spiting someone else. Betrayal. It was a really funny, very well played narcissist.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
I like playing assholes.
They're a lot of fun.
They're so much fun, and they're just the opposite of who I am in real life. So I just get to have fun playing manipulative people.
Also, combo points for the accidental Red and Adrian. That beat was
that dynamic.
Jeff's kiss.
Oh,
it was great.
So good, so good. So
nom.
Yeah, but in a world where he has 0 trust and he's a snake. All right, shall we go around for Beso, Tyler? Or does anybody have anything they want to add in chat or Discord? We'll give it a moment in case they've got something. Yeah, love that callback. There we go.
Love the callback to Red and Lil Addie.
Oh, Lil Addie.
All right, then let's switch over to Tyler for Beso.
Okay, so this is like coming from an acting standpoint. Like, it's really hard to play genuinely dumb characters. And you did it really well and really believably.
Thank you very much. I tapped
It,
into
like-
my own dumbness.
No, but just like in a really sincere and charming way that was quite off-putting, because I was just like, oh, I don't want to have to crush this nice little dumb boy, but like I will.
I will.
But like it made your moments of like cognizance and like I think she might be full of shit, like really, really lovely. And it was just like it was almost like a kind of a Kronk kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was going a little bit
getting
Kronk,
like
yeah.
real Kronk vibes, but like
Yeah.
not as cartoonish, which
Right,
was just
right.
it was just a very refreshing character. Like it was just
Thank you.
you were not smart, but it wasn't a parody. It was just like, no, this is who this guy is. It
Yeah,
was very,
yeah. Trying to be direct because
Yeah.
it's simpler, yeah.
yeah, it was very nice. I liked it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to give you points for consistent stupidity, because I find sometimes when playing games, it's like, okay, I actually just want to do a smart thing as a player, so I'm going to...
Oh, that gets me
I don't know
sometimes.
who does this, but you play a dumb character, so you take a long walk around to do the smart thing you want to do. Butthole. But, I mean, there's that, which was really nice and consistent. I think the other thing was just the runner of him being worried about being in a cult. It's really easy to let that go over a session this long and distracted, and muy bueno.
Thank you very much.
And shout out for the voice from Nat.
Yep, I'm finding it on the spot.
For me, it was when you started using magic. The rituals are really interesting. They're really strange, and it's a fascinating alteration of kind of how D&D works, where it's like if you're a fighter, and you fight, and then the wizard like blows up the world, and you're like, cool, cleave. So what was weird was for a guy that in my head as like the GM of this game was going like, oh yeah, cool, he's the punchy guy. When you're suddenly like, I summoned the shepherd to die, I was like, holy shit. Like, that choice was so fucking good. Also, it was just like a gift for me for narrative drama. Like, here you go. And I was like, oh, let's just tie that loose end off right now, right quick.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That would have never been something I thought to bring back.
That was awesome. Also, particularly like based on the way they describe the horned knight, that is his thing. He like embraces you and then eats you. So to be able to just summon someone who doesn't know what's up, which is like, oh, who's this then? Like, so no, man, great use of those spells. And yeah, I agreed. Like the smart player dumb character is always a delight, and particularly in a game like this, where it's just like, I'm going to do the right thing. And also, thank you for playing into the ruin system. I know we do this a bit with Vampire, but these games always work better when it's like, no, if I'm on that sliding scale, I'm going to like laying down to have a nap. I was like, fuck yeah, that is...
It comes from Vic Denbar of just like, how can I eat shit as hard as possible? Just for a joke or to move the plot in an interesting direction. Yeah.
Well, and the nap thing is perfect
because
if the whole goal theoretically of one of these incursions is to just slowly corrupt you based on whatever the theme is, then yeah, you've just eaten a bunch of fake food. Have a nap. It's fine. Just stay here forever. You'll be good.
Thank you.
All right, what about Tommy here? If we want to have some DM time.
I mean, like I think like Nat said it best, where it was just like, you're really, really good at just kind of like, you let us have our time, and you let us have our conversations, but you also draw the plot forward at a very expedient rate.
Thank you.
Which is nice, because it's really easy, I think, especially when you're working with actors, where we can probably just fucking riff forever and like, because we think it's so fun, but you're just like, and now we're here, and like we have our little bits, and then you just kind of are like, this is the first group of people I've ever roleplayed with that it's so streamlined, which really works.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say the pacing on this was tight. I mean, you introduced a brand new system that we hadn't played in and made it really clear in how to play in it and what the goals were, which I think made it really nice for us as players to dive in and just be like, all right, we're going to fuck shit up. None of us are heroes, and this is going to go bad. So we don't have to worry about that. which was like a lot of fun. But yeah, the ability to just kind of get this one in the time as targeted, give us the beats we needed, but also keep the plot moving. Like I feel like the pacing on this was just really tight
Oh, thanks, man.
for the whole story.
Yeah, I gotta say it's kind of two things, because one thing is about like the game that we played, and that I found that was when you do your world building, when you're describing a place, you always do a great job of it. But what I feel like as a strength of yours that doesn't always get a chance to flex is like your talent for explaining and describing like dreamlike sequences where the world doesn't make sense, and acknowledging that and letting us like react to it. So stuff like it could have just been a simple thing of like you fall asleep in the cave and you wake up at a banquet, but no, you were like the dimensions of the cave have changed and you have to like try and squirm your way out, and then to reveal this lavish thing. Like just that's one example of just like every time the world changes, you do such an amazing transition job and really stay on theme of like how this is like a living conscious forest that we're not ready for. The other piece, huge kudos, is you were put through the ringer like before we started this mentally and emotionally, and you still brought a fucking tight and awesome story and game. So
Thanks, man.
Fantastic job.
Yeah, buddy.
I will fully cop to this being the least prep I've ever done for anything. Up until I got a message from Claire maybe an hour before we were supposed to start, I wasn't sure whether we were doing this or a buddy cop system I've wanted to do for a while. And then I was also trying to build Twitch overlays. So yeah, I also want to do due diligence. David Morrison, who wrote this incursion, Throne of the Forest Queen, did a fucking tremendous amount of work. And I will say one of the nicest things is a DM/GM that Trophy does is every scenario is built around a theme. So this one was glamour. So glamour, not in a like I'm walking the runway, but in terms of being glamored. It gives you a list of things that moments that can just happen at any time that are just interesting. We didn't use too many of them, but like they're there, as well as conditions that can occur. So things like the horns, things like food. Like there were a few that I drew from for there. But it's a beautifully clean system for storytellers. It gives you a lot, and I leaned a lot on. Obviously, brought a lot of my own stuff, but leaned very heavily on it. So full kudos to David Morrison. This is a fucking great thing, and I think the system is really interestingly built for that. But thank you. I will also take the kudos because yeah, it's
you still had to run it, man.
It's also weird to try and pick up a system in a few minutes, but here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do our buddy Orlin.
Yes. Ryan, excuse me. I was so worried we were getting that little goblin.
We don't know about that little goblin.
Oh yeah. Well, I was so worried we were getting a character who has happened in a recording in another podcast.
It will be released one day. It's Star Trek.
Yeah.
One day it'll come out.
And I was like, oh man, this guy again. But you turned him into like Pain and Panic from the Hercules movie, of like just literally just on like the lowest rung, the lowest status guy. And that's always like so funny, especially when a smart person plays that like you.
Yeah.
And so you did some really great stuff with it, where even like even where like Orlin kind of having to decide who to cheer on and stuff like that like thought process for him was still done from that awesome perspective. Like, I'm a worthless speck and I need to grab onto the coattails of like who's stronger, not necessarily who you formed like a tighter bond with or anything like that. It's always just like, I am nothing, and the only way I continue to exist as worthless trash is by backing the right party. Was really, really revealing for Orlin. And I was so glad we were able to get that in there before we finished up.
Yeah. He actually reminded me of like an alternate reality Reek from Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Just like, if Reek had just been, under Ramsay's thumb a little bit longer in a comedy, that's who he would have been. I mean, you're such, like, your characters are such a gift to, like, just, you make it very clear what your intentions are, and so they're very easy to play with, and for somebody who plays somebody who, like, likes to take control of people when I can, and it's so clear and easy to do that, and you make it very easy to do that in a way that is entertaining and, like, I think from an audience perspective, without feeling weird.
Yeah, totally. I get that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. And the moment that you, like, full on slit the goat's throat.
Yeah, that was.
You just committed. You committed to killing that goat.
That goat was an
Not
asshole.
something I saw coming, to be perfectly honest.
You left the desperate to please abused man with the goat that people were debating about hurting. It was going to be a rough ride for the goat.
I mean, honestly, he got the better end of it in the long run.
Yeah.
For me, based on the end game for this scenario is that the queen basically throws down the gauntlet about, like, who's worthy, and everyone has to kind of figure out whether they actually still even care about their desires or if they just want to stay there, blah blah blah. So it's funny, some of the questions they have for you to ask in that final scenario are things about, like, oh, like, who's worthy, blah blah blah. And what's great, Ryan, is weirdly you built a character that meant that the final decision wasn't actually who's worthy. It was, who does the unworthy one help? Which is fucking rad. Like, that's such a great, like, it was one of those moments where player choice clicked so beautifully with module design. And then to be able to just be like, oh, fuck, this leads to, because I mean, like, I don't really want to watch 3 characters beat each other to death, but 2 characters going at it and one person being like, here's the knife. Fucking great. Like, A2 Orlin. So yeah, that was awesome. That was a delight. And weirdly, the other beat for me, it's fun with these one shots to try and, for me as a DM, to figure out who the characters are, so that I can set you up with the appropriate scenario to be interesting for you. If you go back and listen to the early bits of Dum Dums, it took a while to figure out, like, okay, what's the right setup for an interesting whatever character interaction. And with these, there's no time. So it's literally just like, okay, like, when's the moment to be like, oh, okay, it's this. And for me with you, it was the honeypots, and just being like, A, being like, no, I got to save this drunk goat. But B, being like, no, I'm going to steal this. Like, I'm not an altruistic character. I'm nice, but I'm not a good guy.
Right.
Was great. And then the dice played beautifully for that. And then the fact that became, like, weirdly your totem for the rest of it was delightful. Particularly because it meant that when I got to play Michelle Pfeiffer Titania at the end, I was able to just literally be like, oh, fuck, he actually brought a gift. What the hell did you 2 clowns bring? And it meant that we could just invert the status that the entire game had been built on. And that's lovely. That's such a great gift to have at an end game. Like, I can't imagine a better ending for this scenario than what we got.
Yeah, that's true.
That was really great.
Particularly because, like, the binding didn't work again. The wolves happened. You rolled bad. Like, it was just everything happened the right.
There is no good universe in which I should have come out on top in that scenario.
Well, yeah, and the joy is Orlin loses by surviving, which has actually been his whole backstory. By being the person he is who survives, he gets the worst fate of anyone.
Yeah.
Somehow becomes the title of the module. We did it.
Wild.
Yeah, cool.
Alrighty, that brings us to the end.
And also, as a side note, it's been so lovely getting to read Discord and see the comments and everything. Thank you all so much for all of that. That's it really does mean the world to us to get that kind of like response for a thing we literally threw together tonight. But yeah, it's really nice. And I think I know personally I really needed this. This was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate all of you making it that. So thank you. And I'm going to stop before I get choked up.
No, thanks
Oh,
for
buddy.
letting me join in so last minute.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey, thanks for offering. That's
this
on you.
was a delightful joy. So I think we can all agree that we had a good time. So
We may not have seen the last of these characters because I also kickstarted a game about epilogues called Candlelight that is about the souls of departed trophy characters trying to get the fuck out of the forest. So stay tuned. Snarf, snarf. You snarfy motherfuckers.
all right, goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.